Chapter 1481 The Use of a Clone. The clone passed the tribulation, becoming a time path rank 6 GU Immortal. Meanwhile, Fang Yuan's main body was still the rank 7 GU Immortal with the sovereign immortal body that cultivated all paths. Having a clone was very beneficial to Fang Yuan. Many things, especially the management of his immortal aperture, could be left to the clone to handle. Fang Yuan trusted himself absolutely. He was far more useful than any shadow sect member. Especially when they were the same person to begin with, their thoughts and wills were completely the same, there would not be any conflicts when they communicate, there would not even be small mistakes. Looking at how strong Shadow Sect was, it was not hard to imagine the usefulness of split souls. Shadow Sect had many members, but they were united and did not fear sacrificing themselves, that was because they were the same person to begin with. Fang Yuan paid a huge price to make his clone a rank 6 GU Immortal. Firstly, the deduction used up a lot of his time and effort, the parallel refinement of Spring-Autumn Cicada also used a bunch of immortal materials, and after creating the clone successfully, it also needed to cultivate, even though that was not too important, it was something he had to invest in. And because he used split soul, Fang Yuan's soul foundation fell from 10 million man soul to 9 million man soul, it had shrunk greatly. Fang Yuan had to accumulate his soul foundation again, but thankfully, with the 2 soul path sacred lands, he could progress quickly. Fang Yuan's development was not obstructed. As for Fang Yuan's clone, because it had Fang Yuan's split soul, it was half an otherworldly demon. The body originated from this world, it was still restricted by fate, Fang Yuan could not do anything about that. Unless he could mimic Shadow Sect and create another sovereign immortal fetus GU for his clone. But Shadow Sect spent 100,000 years to refine one sovereign immortal fetus GU, it was basically impossible to make a second one. For the following days, Fang Yuan's main body rested while his clone got rid of the lingering strength path Dao marks inside the self-cleansing immortal GU formation. Fang Yuan had originally ascended his second aperture to become a strength path GU Immortal. After that, he turned into an immortal zombie and the immortal aperture disintegrated, all of the strength path Dao marks were left on his body. Fang Yuan decided to use the self-cleansing formation to get rid of the clone's unnecessary strength path Dao marks. The clone's body was not special, Dao marks of different paths conflicted. After careful consideration, Fang Yuan decided to let his clone cultivate time path. Earlier, Fang Yuan considered dual cultivating strength path and time path, because he did not have the sovereign immortal body. Now that he had the sovereign immortal body and aperture, his focus was on cultivating that, the clone was only supplementary. Thus, the plan to refine second aperture GU for the clone was cancelled. Another aperture meant that it would turn into an immortal aperture when he ascends to immortal. Since Fang Yuan chose time path, this immortal aperture would cultivate time path, but what use was that? Another high-grade or super-grade blessed land was useless to Fang Yuan now. Rather than developing this blessed land, he should divert all of his effort into the sovereign immortal aperture. And Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture was only at 4% development now. There were too few resources in it, he needed to put in a lot of work on it. Maybe the biggest use of second immortal aperture is the availability of another vital GU. Fang Yuan thought. The biggest advantage of a vital GU was that even if refinement fails, it would not be destroyed. The life of the vital GU was connected to the GU Immortal themselves. Of course, if the GU Immortal dies during the GU refinement, the vital GU would also be destroyed. Currently, Fang Yuan did not have a need for vital GU. Among his immortal GU, the most important, Spring-Autumn Cicada, was already a vital GU. Other than handling his mundane tasks, the clone could ensure that Spring-Autumn Cicada would never be destroyed when trying to refine it in the future. You are awake. Fang Yuan looked at Sixth Hair. Sixth Hair opened his eyes slowly, he still felt weak. After seeing Fang Yuan, the first thing he asked was, Sect Leader, did the GU refinement succeed? Yes. Fang Yuan nodded. Great. Sixth Hair smiled and said, that means our second round of GU refinement has been completed. During the first round, Fang Yuan refined Cleanse Soul, Self-Love, and Snack. During the second round, he refined Spring-Autumn Cicada and Heavenly Secret. Fang Yuan paid a huge price to refine GU. But all in all, his luck was very good, there were some GU Immortals who could not succeed after 100 tries after all. Of course, the Luck Path True Inheritance and Luck Path Immortal GU that Fang Yuan had were of a huge assistance to him. On the other hand, Langya Sect played a crucial role. If not for Langya Land Spirit and Sixth Hair's help, how could Fang Yuan's GU refinement attempts have been so smooth? What are the red snake tattoos on your body? Fang Yuan had a dark gaze. It's nothing. Sixth hair's gaze flickered. When you were unconscious, I had already inspected it. This refinement path killer move seems to expend your lifespan to increase your refinement path abilities. If I am not wrong, when the red snake tattoos reach your head, you will die. Fang Yuan said directly. Sixth hair was silent for a while before saying, sect leader is right. My life is not important, I only hope that you can attack Heavenly Court and save my main body. Heavenly Court, Fang Yuan sighed as he looked at the sky. Sixth hair quickly added. Sect leader, no need to be discouraged, the enemy is strong indeed, but you have already regained Spring Autumn Cicada, you will inherit Red Lotus, true inheritance soon. Red Lotus Demon Venerable's true inheritance likely contains the method to defeat Heavenly Court, after all, he was the immortal Venerable seed chosen by Heavenly Court. Fang Yuan nodded, he knew the things that Sixth hair knew. It was hard for him to stop Heavenly Court from repairing Fate GU alone in just 10 years. But with Red Lotus, true inheritance, there was a sliver of hope. Since Spring Autumn Cicada was now Fang Yuan's completely, the next step of his plan should be to find Red Lotus, true inheritance. But Fang Yuan shook his head. I am in no rush to find Red Lotus, true inheritance, I can continue to increase my strength now. Heavenly Court will not allow me to take Red Lotus, true inheritance so easily, they must have arrangements inside the River of Time. Even though Heavenly Court could not find Fang Yuan, they knew that he would enter the River of Time and find Red Lotus, true inheritance. Fang Yuan did not need to think to know that Heavenly Court had already laid an ambush in the River of Time. It was necessary to find Red Lotus, true inheritance, but before that, not only did he need Spring Autumn Cicada, he also needed enough battle strength to break through Heavenly Court's ambush. In this aspect, Fang Yuan had more work to do. Tell me everything about this refinement path killer move that you created, I will deduce for you and resolve the problem of this killer move for you. Sixth hair, don't sacrifice yourself unnecessarily, I will need your help in the future to control Langya sect. Sixth hair's heart jumped, he had the same thought too. Even though he was helpless against the backlash, it did not mean Fang Yuan could not resolve it. Especially with the light of wisdom. The parallel refinement of Spring Autumn Cicada and the tribulation of his clone was naturally done in the wilderness. After keeping the clone in his sovereign immortal aperture, Fang Yuan went back to Langya Blessed Land with Sixth Hair using the teleportation GU formation. After entering Langya Blessed Land, they would be under Langya Land Spirit's supervision. Sixth Hair and Fang Yuan could not talk, they parted as supreme elders of the sect. Fang Yuan did not return to his cloud city to rest, he came to Wisdom GU. He opened his immortal aperture door and his clone flew out. The clone was a living being, Wisdom GU did not respond. But soon, after the clone used strength reversing life and death to become an immortal zombie again, Wisdom GU flew around him in uncertainty. What? Fang Yuan's heart jumped. Wisdom GU was only flying around, it did not emit the light of wisdom. Fang Yuan's clone spoke. Oh Wisdom GU, I was the one who made the agreement with you. Did you forget what we agreed upon? Wisdom GU was floating in front of Fang Yuan's clone, it was assessing him while hesitating. After a while, it went back to the tree leaf and landed, emitting the light of wisdom. Fang Yuan finally let out a sigh of relief. It was quite a shock, Wisdom GU almost did not acknowledge Fang Yuan's identity. I became a time path GU immortal, my cultivation level rose and my strength path Dao marks were removed, and also due to the split soul, Wisdom GU became very hesitant. No matter the reason, I need to be careful in the future, even if my clone's cultivation level remains stagnant, I need to maintain this, I cannot lose the light of wisdom. Fang Yuan was a little gloomy, the Wisdom GU in less than the legends of Renzu greater than was extremely intelligent, it even scammed Renzu several times, why was it so stupid here? It did not show the intelligence of Wisdom GU at all. Was this because less than the legends of Renzu greater than was a story, or was there any other reason? Chapter 1482, Iron Dragonfish. Sixth Hair's problem was more difficult than Fang Yuan had thought. The refinement path killer move he created was called Refinement Snake Lifespan Flower, it not only contained the essence of refinement path, it also involved the karma of rule path. Sixth Hair created this move using an incomplete GU refinement method from Langya sect's treasury as the inspiration. Fang Yuan deduced it and realized, Refinement Snake Lifespan Flower was not so easy to fix, if he was careless, Sixth Hair might lose his life. Thus, Fang Yuan changed his tactic and slowed down. If my refinement path attainment level is higher, I will need much less time to deduce Refinement Snake Lifespan Flower. Fang Yuan would not concentrate on this problem like he did with Heaven's Will Dissipation Refinement Path Immortal Formation, because Sixth Hair's problem needed a lot of time to resolve. And Sixth Hair was not in any rush. As long as he did not use this move anymore, he would not lose his life. Fang Yuan continued his soul path cultivation while deducing. Danghun Mountain and Luokou Valley were truly the sacred lands of soul cultivation. The soul foundation of Fang Yuan's main body started to rise rapidly again. But the clone did not cultivate this. The reason was conflicting Dao marks. Danghun Mountain and Luokou Valley were filled with soul path Dao marks, be it Guts Jiu or Luokou winds, they were in essence adding soul path Dao marks to Fang Yuan's soul. The clone's soul had already received the maximum portion from Fang Yuan. If the soul foundation increased, it would disrupt his time path cultivation. Thus, Fang Yuan did not even give the clone ghost official garment. As for how to defend against Heaven's Will, Fang Yuan had his time path method, even though the effect was inferior to ghost official garment. But the time path method complemented the clone's cultivation, the advantages outweighed the disadvantages. Even though Fang Yuan's main body had non-conflicting Dao marks and could cultivate all paths, in such a special situation, he still needed to pay attention to killer moves of different paths. For example, ghost official garment was greatly weakened due to ghostly concealment. Other than deducing Sixth Hair's problem and the killer move to protect the time path clone from Heaven's Will, Fang Yuan had to modify his luck path killer moves. Wisdom path, sword path, and soul path killer moves had already been modified to his limit, now was luck path. Fang Yuan had many useful luck path true inheritances. Among these assorted inheritances, the most prominent ones were Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's self-luck and all living beings' luck true inheritances. Fang Yuan had the complete content of the former and an incomplete version of the latter. He had many luck path Immortal GU, Dog Shit Luck, Chi Luck, Luck Inspection, Connect Luck, and Time Luck were all rank 6, they were not very suitable to Fang Yuan now since he was already rank 7. Fang Yuan was not going to rank up his luck path Immortal GU for now, his focus was to refine one GU, it was Spring Autumn Cicada. Rank 6 Spring Autumn Cicada could only allow rank 6 GU Immortals to rebirth. Fang Yuan had rank 7 cultivation level now, he needed rank 7 Spring Autumn Cicada. Either that or rank 6 Spring Autumn Cicada used as a core of a rank 7 Immortal killer move. He was still at the initial stage of Spring Autumn Cicada's refinement. Sixth Hair was in charge of the entire Immortal GU recipe, he was collecting the necessary GU materials. Fang Yuan did not forget to practice his killer moves. He had modified his soul path killer moves long ago, he was very skilled with them now. Fang Yuan would practice the sword path and wisdom path killer moves from time to time, revising their usage. Fang Yuan knew that he had to work hard during peaceful times. By the time he fights, these killer moves would be instinctive to him. If his killer move fails during battle and he loses his momentum, that would be a disaster. Among the killer moves he practiced, Wisdom Path killer move Exposing Heavenly Secret was the most important. This killer move used Heavenly Secret Immortal GU as the core to deduce the contents of the following tribulation. Of course, there was a limit to it. Fang Yuan could not deduce the content of his next grand tribulation yet, he needed to wait for some time. Other than exposing Heavenly Secret, Fang Yuan also needed to practice Heaven's Will Dissipation. This killer move was Fang Yuan's greatest success during this period of time, he was not going to give it up. Exposing Heavenly Secret allowed Fang Yuan to learn about the thinking of Heaven's Will. Heaven's Will Dissipation was a countermeasure that needed to be modified further, because it took a long time to prepare, it could only be used in the background now, it could not be utilized in an actual battle. His Red Date Immortal Essence was barely enough for use. His Immortal Essence stone storage had run dry already. The members of Shadow Sect were all developing well. Making use of Tai Chu, they were accumulating resources, replenishing the amount they lost while escaping from southern border, they even improved in some aspects. Fang Yuan only took away the souls of the desolate beasts and ancient desolate beasts that they captured, the remaining corpses were immortal materials that could be sold for a high price. Fang Yuan did not go after their gains, on one hand he was not attracted to this small amount, on another hand he wanted to maintain the rules of Shadow Sect. At the crucial moment, Fang Yuan could borrow resources from them for emergencies, Fang Yuan was not shy to do that. But if he tried that now, he would ruin their momentum and growth, the cost was too high compared to the benefits in this situation. Even though he obtained Shadow Sect's inheritance and gained a deeper understanding of Heavenly Court, there were many things that Fang Yuan did not know. Against such a huge organization, the tactic of Shadow Sect that they used in the 500 years of his previous life were worth mimicking. Thus, other than his own cultivation, Fang Yuan started plotting. He had some relationship with the 5 regions in some way or another now, even though he was wanted by the righteous path forces of Northern Plains including Longevity Heaven, he had become part of the Variant Human Alliance due to the engagement, his relationship with the Variant Humans was very close now. The problem now was that Fang Yuan lacked funds. Consecutive GU refinement, cultivation, and practice of killer moves made his funds run dry. Even though he scrimped and saved, and his red date immortal essence also replenish on its own, Fang Yuan's advancement was too fast, he was operating at a deficit now, his funds could not catch up to his expenditure. For this problem, Fang Yuan's solution was the dragonfish business. But not long ago, Yu Chan also started to sell copper dragonfish. Fang Yuan was slightly surprised. But Fang Yuan soon accepted the fact. Dragonfish was different from Guts GU, new products could be deduced and created by his competitors too. This was like how Fang Yuan modified the light shine fungi. He could modify people's products, they could do the same to him. It was not like the Guts GU business, other than him, nobody else could produce it, that was truly the monopoly that GU Immortals dreamed of. Thus, it was not strange that others could sell copper dragonfish. Fang Yuan was only surprised that Yu Chan did it so quickly. Days passed by. Immortal killer move, years pass like days. The tributary of the river of time in sovereign immortal aperture expanded rapidly, the river water started to flow faster. The sovereign immortal aperture originally had very high rate of time to begin with, after using this killer move, the time flow became even faster. This way, calamities and tribulations would occur more rapidly. But Fang Yuan had no fear. He was already unmoved by calamities and tribulations at this point. As for grand tribulations, he had Heavenly Secret GU and exposing Heavenly Secret, what was there to fear? The increase in his rate of time also led to the increased production of other resources. Especially dragonfish. In Dragon Scale Sea area, a large number of dragonfish were swimming around. Most were ordinary red dragonfish, 30% were copper dragonfish, and the rest were black in color. This is my iron dragonfish. Fang Yuan smiled. With this huge formation, his dragonfish did not need to be researched on, the modification was automated. This time, after I sell the iron dragonfish, I wonder how Yu Chan will react. Chapter 1483, Silver Dragonfish. Iron dragonfish, Yu Chan breathed in deeply, she wanted to calm her mind down, but she soon gave up despondently. Her gaze flickered, her expression was in a daze. Fang Yuan placed the iron dragonfish into the market and caused a small commotion in Treasure Yellow Heaven. The dragonfish market was very big to begin with. There were GU Immortals who tried to modify dragonfish, but they all ended in failure. This was because food path had never been well circulated in history. But this time, Fang Yuan actually modified the dragonfish twice. The GU Immortals were all astute figures, they understood the meaning behind this modification. Fang Yuan was very likely to have very high food path attainment, or had inherited a food path true inheritance. The others could understand this, Yu Chan was the same. This was why she had suffered a huge blow, her mind was in turmoil. A small iron dragonfish was nothing, but the meaning behind it was like a huge mountain pressing down on her, she could barely breathe. No matter what, I cannot give up like this. However, the previous copper dragonfish modification already expended all of my foundation. In the short time, I cannot succeed in modifying iron dragonfish. What should I do? Yu Chan knew her limits, she was sure that she could not deal with Fang Yuan alone. Soon, a figure appeared in her mind. Don't tell me I need to get help from her. Yu Chan was hesitant, there was a dark air deep in her eyes. Several days later, in White Crane Sea area. This place had a clear breeze and a calm sea that resembled a mirror. There was blue skies and white clouds, there was a clear horizon between the sea and sky, countless white cranes were flying around or standing elegantly on the small islands and resting. It was a scene of serenity and peace. At the center of this sea area, the owner of this place was laughing loudly, evidently happy. Ha ha ha, Yu Chan, oh Yu Chan, you finally thought it through. Qin Baihe was extremely happy, she laughed as she looked at Fairy Yu Chan, her gaze was invasive and extremely provocative. Yu Chan snorted coldly, turning her gaze away from Qin Baihe, feeling rather unhappy. Qin Baihe was the owner of White Crane Sea area, she was extremely beautiful and tall, she had an elegant neck and long legs, she was one of the 6 beauties of Eastern Sea, like Yu Chan. However, different from the other beautiful fairies, Qin Baihe did not like men, she only liked female immortals. She had a rank 6 immortal GU house in White Crane Sea area, it was called Baihe Palace 1, there were countless women living in it, this was her harem which stayed with her at all times, engaging in unspeakable activities. Qin Baihe walked forward and held Yu Chan's hands. She had an extremely indulgent expression as she said, so smooth, oh Yu Chan, you know that I want you for the longest time. I desire to have you. From today onwards, you will be the empress of my Baihe palace. HMPH. Yu Chan wanted to pull her hand away, but Qin Baihe grabbed them tightly. Yu Chan had a cold expression. She snorted, let go. Qin Baihe obediently let go. The two had an agreement already. She knew that Yu Chan was hers and could not escape anymore. There was no need to force her now. She had lots of time and energy to slowly savor Yu Chan. After Yu Chan pulled her hands away, she took 2 steps back. Qin Baihe, don't forget what you promised me. Qin Baihe chuckled. Of course, neither of us can solve the problem of the iron dragonfish alone in the short run. But as long as we work together, if we put our hearts into it, we will definitely be able to resolve this. That guy who tried to challenge you will not be smug for long. Yu Chan nodded slightly. Qin Baihe was not spouting nonsense. Yu Chan had known her for many years. She knew a lot about her foundation. Immediately, Yu Chan stayed inside Baihe Palace and the two worked together for days and nights, using all of their energy to resolve the iron dragonfish issue. Yu Chan needed to try her best. Her main source of revenue was the dragonfish business. She could not give up on it, otherwise, her cultivation would be greatly affected. When GU Immortals cultivate, they need to gain strength continuously. If anything goes wrong, they would be in danger against calamities and tribulations. Even if they did not die from calamities and tribulations, as long as they suffered heavy injuries, it would be a vicious cycle and the GU Immortal would get weaker. They would eventually die from future calamities and tribulations. More than 10 days later, an iron dragonfish appeared in Baihe Palace. Looking at this iron dragonfish, Yu Chan wanted to shed tears of joy. Because this dragonfish was not bought in Treasure Yellow Heaven, it was forcefully bred by Qin Baihe and her cooperating together. This iron dragonfish meant that Yu Chan also had the method to breed her own iron dragonfish now. I have not lost in this battle of dragonfish yet. Yu Chan cheered herself on. I was not wrong about you, Yu Chan. Do you know that you are the dreamiest when you are serious? Beside her, Qin Baihe was looking at Yu Chan with enchanted eyes. Yu Chan's joy faded from her face as it turned cold. We cannot be careless, the other party is very mysterious. He created the iron dragonfish and copper dragonfish. He had very deep food path foundation. We have merely just created this new species, and gotten on the same level as him. I understand what you mean. You are afraid that the other party will bring out even more superior dragonfish. Qin Baihe had a solemn expression. The worry that they had came true a few days later. Silver dragonfish. Fang Yuan's third attack. The silver dragonfish had even more food path Dao marks than iron dragonfish. This time, the commotion in Treasure Yellow Heaven was larger and wider than before. Many GU Immortals noticed this and started to investigate Fang Yuan at full force. Of course, they would not be able to find anything. The appearance of the silver dragonfish was an immense blow to Qin Baihe and Yu Chan. These two Eastern Sea beauties were stunned. After researching it, the silver dragonfish's superiority made them feel deeply pressured. They had gone all out for the iron dragonfish earlier. With the difficulty of this silver dragonfish, they needed several years of hard work on it or there would be no hope. Furthermore, Yu Chan and Qin Baihe could not place all their energy on the silver dragonfish. They needed to interact with people and rest. They also needed to cultivate, manage their immortal aperture, and practice killer moves. The silver dragonfish was bound to appear in Fang Yuan's case. But for Yu Chan and Qin Baihe, they needed to put in lots of research. Silver dragonfish had a much higher difficulty to deduce compared to iron dragonfish. It's over, I am no longer his match. I can only give up the dragonfish business, and I need to let go completely without any reservations. Even with Yu Chan's determined personality, she was completely in despair now. The difference in their strength made Yu Chan unable to see any hope of victory. Qin Baihe was also helpless. She also bit her lips until it bled. She was very unhappy that she was unable to help her beloved, given her prideful personality. But just as the two female immortals were in despair, an unexpected force came in to interfere. This colossal organization was none other than Heavenly Court. It turned out that Heavenly Court had never given up searching for and trying to kill Fang Yuan. Even though they could not find Fang Yuan now, Heavenly Court's fairy Ziwei was not useless. The moment Fang Yuan sold the copper dragonfish, her attention was drawn to it. When Fang Yuan sold the iron dragonfish and silver dragonfish in Treasure Yellow Heaven, Fairy Ziwei focused her attention on it. Even though she was not absolutely certain that the seller of the new dragonfish species was Fang Yuan, she would rather be safe than sorry. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable had obtained the most original food path inheritance back then. Fang Yuan is the new leader of Shadow Sect. After getting its inheritance, he naturally has that food path inheritance too. Dragonfish is the most signature product of food path. The dragonfish species has never changed over many years. The GU Immortal that modified it time and again is likely to be Fang Yuan. Fairy Ziwei knew. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable had lots of avenues and did not need the dragonfish profit. With his personality, he also did not favor business management, he used killing to resolve all his problems. But Fang Yuan was different. The more she learned about Fang Yuan, the more attention Fairy Ziwei placed on him. This otherworldly demon had brains and brawn, he could lower his status if needed, if given enough time to develop and resources to use, he would be an immense threat. Thus, Fairy Ziwei did not hesitate, she interfered and helped Yu Chan and Qin Baihe. On one hand, Fairy Ziwei did not want to expose herself openly. On the other hand, helping these two would allow her to interfere in Eastern Sea, in the future 5 regions chaotic war, this would be a hidden card, she was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. A wisdom path GU Immortal was most clear on how to maximize their benefits. Heavenly Court was extremely affluent after all, its foundation was unfathomably deep, even for food path, they had lots of foundation in it. Even though they lacked the inheritance of the source of food path, they had a lot of other inheritances. After getting Heavenly Court's help, Yu Chan and Qin Baihe had a boost of morale, they did not sleep for dozens of days, they actually created the silver dragonfish. This way, Yu Chan also had the silver dragonfish. This was out of Fang Yuan's expectations. He had thought that the silver dragonfish would decide the competition of the dragonfish business, but his hopes were dashed, the dragonfish business went into a deadlock again. Chapter 1484. Fang Yuan's Kindness. Inside the Sovereign Immortal Aperture. Mini Eastern Sea. Dragon Scale Sea Area. A GU Immortal was floating in the air with fluttering sleeves, looking down at the sea below him. He had a common face but extraordinary aura, he had abyss-like eyes that gave off deep wisdom and experience. It was Fang Yuan's rank 6 GU Immortal Time Path clone. Right now, the seawater was in turbulence and waves were rumbling, but there was no wind at all. My Sovereign Immortal Aperture has no atmospheric changes, there are neither winds nor clouds here. The reason this Dragon Scale Sea area has waves is because my main body set up that immortal formation. The Time Path clone thought. Right now, Dragon Scale Sea Area was the #1 sea area in the Sovereign Immortal Aperture. It was Fang Yuan's current focus for development, he had invested a huge sum of funds. The Time Path clone looked over, seeing that within the tides and waves, countless dragonfish were swimming about, they were densely packed and the number was terrifying. Fang Yuan had put in a lot of investments, along with the Sovereign Immortal Aperture's high rate of time, and his food path methods, the dragonfish bred rapidly, the numbers soared. Not just the ordinary dragonfish, there were even many copper dragonfish, some iron dragonfish, and a few silver dragonfish. Fang Yuan's clone looked beyond these dragonfish, towards the depths of the dragonfish group. Soon, his expression turned to joy, he found his target. This was a dragonfish shining like gold, it had densely packed golden scales, its eyes were not as dull as the other dragonfish, there was sharpness in them. Compared to the other dragonfish, it was the smallest, it was not even the size of a person's palm, it was tiny. But Fang Yuan's clone could sense that this golden-scaled dragonfish had only food path Dao marks in it and no other path's Dao marks. Even though it was small, it gave off a true ancient desolate beast aura. The other dragonfish could only reach desolate beast at most, but the golden dragonfish could become ancient desolate beast. This was not to be underestimated, it meant that after becoming golden, the dragonfish had gone beyond the limits of its species and reached a brand new level. At this point, the golden dragonfish is the limit of development. Fang Yuan's clone sighed. The ancient golden dragonfish swam in the sea, be it the ordinary dragonfish, desolate beast dragonfish, copper dragonfish, iron dragonfish, or silver dragonfish, they were all moving around it. The ancient golden dragonfish was the king of the dragonfish, once it appeared, all of the lower dragonfish species would all defend and follow it. Even I, the owner of these dragonfish, have lower control of the dragonfish group compared to the ancient golden dragonfish. Fang Yuan's clone nonchalantly watched with a flickering gaze. It could be said that if Fang Yuan and the ancient golden dragonfish fought for control over these dragonfish, Fang Yuan would lose to it. This ancient desolate beast only needed to exist to gain the loyalty of all the dragonfish without question. But that is not a problem, the ancient golden dragonfish controls the dragonfish while I control the ancient golden dragonfish itself. Unfortunately, dragonfish have no fighting strength, even the ancient golden dragonfish is bottom tier in battle strength compared to other ancient desolate beasts. Therefore, these dragonfish can only be used as goods. Time passed quickly, half a month passed. Yu Chan had a tough time during this period. Even though she succeeded in breeding the silver dragonfish, she had used the help of Qin Baihe, Heavenly Court, and Fang Yuan's silver dragonfish. Thus, even though she could produce silver dragonfish, in terms of production, she could not compare to Fang Yuan, the originator. Fang Yuan was currently dominating her in terms of dragonfish business in Treasure Yellow Heaven. The silver dragonfish was simply too useful, and since Fang Yuan did not raise prices by too much, the other dragonfish competitors were outmatched. And Fang Yuan sold silver dragonfish at a far larger scale than Yu Chan. The difference in their strength was evident. Fang Yuan had the clear advantage. However, Yu Chan did not give up, she was still persevering and putting up a fight. White Crane Sea Area, Qin Baihe laughed loudly, ha ha ha, I finally got through this difficult part, our method has improved again. This way, our silver dragonfish production will increase greatly. Yu Chan had a haggard look, but joy was in her eyes. She had worked with Qin Baihe for half a month without resting, along with the use of Heavenly Court's findings. But even with such a result, our production still cannot match that person. Yu Chan sighed. Little Chan, don't worry, as long as we work together, we can resolve this, that silver dragonfish is not Guts Gu after all. By then, our production will be on par with him. Qin Baihe was quite optimistic. But even then, we will only be equal with him. It is too difficult to continue innovating, we do not have the strength. That means we can only be at a stalemate with him at best. And this is under the assumption that he does not produce any newer species of dragonfish. Yu Chan shook her head. Qin Baihe opened her mouth and wanted to comfort Yu Chan, but no words came out. The truth was, at this point in the battle, the result was already quite clear. Yu Chan was not Fang Yuan's match, she could only act passively and try to catch up to him to balance the situation. They did not have any way of winning, unless there was strong help given to them by external influences. Like Heavenly Court, it had a large number of food path inheritances. But why would Fairy Ziwei help Qin Baihe and Yu Chan unconditionally? Both sides were from different regions, Qin Baihe and Yu Chan were very alert when working with Heavenly Court. But Fairy Ziwei's intention was to lure these two into becoming pawns of Heavenly Court that infiltrated Eastern Sea's Gu Immortal world. The 5 regions' chaotic war was about to start, Heavenly Court had to start planning before the Great Era. I am afraid this person selling dragonfish is Fang Yuan. Using him, I can pressure Yu Chan and Qin Baihe to become the pawns of my Heavenly Court. But, within Heavenly Court, Fairy Ziwei was paying close attention to Treasure Yellow Heaven. The thing that stifled her was that Fang Yuan was not doing anything. After putting up the silver dragonfish, he stopped doing anything, he only sold the dragonfish normally. This situation made Fairy Ziwei feel a sense of unease. She knew that Fang Yuan was not a person to take matters lying down. If that really is Fang Yuan, he definitely has a trump card. He is a ruthless person, he does not leave others a way out. The current situation of this dragonfish business is not something he'll accept. While Fairy Ziwei was thinking of this, Eastern Sea's Yu Chan suddenly had a change of expression. What is it, Chan? Qin Baihe asked in concern. Oh no, my dragonfish sea is being attacked by a Gu Immortal. The Gu formation has been destroyed, I must return. Yu Chan screamed in anxiety. Even though her immortal aperture had a lot of dragonfish, the bulk of them were in the dragonfish sea area. The dragonfish sea area was the foundation of her finances, most of her assets were there, how could she let anyone destroy it? Qin Baihe realized the severity of the issue, she grabbed Yu Chan's hand. There is no time, I will go with you. Don't worry, I want to see who has the guts to act so arrogantly in front of us. The immortal Gu house flew out like a rainbow, carrying the 2 fairies' rage as it went from White Crane Sea area to Dragonfish Sea area. The 2 sea areas were not too far away, this was why Yu Chan could stay at Qin Baihe's place without too much worry. Thus, when they reached Dragonfish Sea area, the attacker had not left yet. Yu Chan's immortal Gu formation had already been half destroyed, that Gu Immortal was still taking the dragonfish into his immortal aperture. Such guts! Even with Yu Chan's great disposition, she became furious upon seeing her dragonfish, which were raised with such difficulty, taken away in front of her. Who are you? You dare to attack my woman's place, today will be your death date. Qin Baihe shouted as she transmitted to Yu Chan. Chan, be careful, this person is quite weird, his method to take the dragonfish is very skillful. Even though Qin Baihe was angry, she had not lost her reason. She assessed the place and had a clear understanding of the current situation. Yu Chan looked over following Qin Baihe's guidance and her heart jumped. The mysterious Gu Immortal did not use any immortal methods, he was only controlling an ancient desolate beast, but the dragonfish that Yu Chan raised obediently followed him into his immortal aperture. Yu Chan took a closer look and felt even more shocked. What is going on? This tiny golden-scaled ancient desolate beast is a dragonfish. Golden dragonfish. Don't tell me this person is my opponent in Treasure Yellow Heaven. Wait, according to Heavenly Court, this person is likely to be Fang Yuan. Yu Chan had just thought of this when the person taking the dragonfish closed his immortal aperture's entrance and turned around to face the two furious fairies. You are finally here. My effort to wait here was not wasted. You managed to come. He, I am Fang Yuan, remember this name. To be able to know the name of your murderer before death, this is my act of kindness towards you. Fang Yuan said this as the entire world changed, an immortal battlefield appeared and trapped Yu Chan and Qin Baihe. Qin Baihe and Yu Chan were immensely shocked, they looked at each other with pale faces. Fang Yuan was a vicious fiend with rank 8 battle strength, why was he here? Wasn't he hiding somewhere in seclusion because of Heavenly Court's pursuit? Why did he dare to come out? And why was he so arrogant and vicious, he dared to attack another Gu Immortal's territory in broad daylight? Chapter 1485, Purple Star Broken Life. Looking at the panicking Qin Baihe and Yu Chan, Fang Yuan had a cold gaze. It seems that the Gu Immortal world has been peaceful for too long, and this eastern sea has been too prosperous and peaceful due to their abundant resources, they were completely caught off guard by my attack. If this was during the 5 regions' chaotic war, the world would be in turmoil, every Gu Immortal would be extremely alert, but before this, there was lasting peace. Gu Immortals cultivated on their own, focusing on their immortal apertures, very few would go out and fight to the death. Firstly, the immortal aperture would have calamities and tribulations once in a while. Secondly, Gu Immortals had all sorts of complex relationships, attacking one would attract more enemies. Thirdly, information was not perfect, Gu Immortals could hide deeply and often, one unknown immortal killer move could turn the situation around. The risks were high and rewards were little, Gu Immortals normally did not want to engage in life and death battles. But this was different for Fang Yuan's case. I have rank 8 battle strength, why would I care about your friends and network, what is there to fear even if I kill you? Battle strength was Fang Yuan's assurance, as well as his wisdom path attainment. After committing a crime, at worst he could run away. The world was huge, even Heavenly Court and Heaven's Will could not do anything to Fang Yuan now, not to mention the rest. And the third aspect, information. Shadow Sect had a lot of information across all 5 regions, Qin Baihe and Yu Chan did not know about Fang Yuan's background, but he knew a lot about them. As long as I kill Yu Chan, the dragonfish business will be mine alone, the profits will be immense. Even if Heavenly Court wanted to obstruct Fang Yuan, they could not succeed easily. Because these resources needed to grow in specific environments, results would only show after some time. Fang Yuan was like a tortoise doing his best to develop and absorb his gains, raising his strength. He was like a venomous snake digesting all the food he ingested, he was feeling a bit of hunger now, he acted shockingly, directly going to Eastern Sea and sneak attacking suddenly. He caught Yu Chan and Qin Baihe off guard with this move. The two fairies here were very juicy loot. Especially Yu Chan, she cultivated water path and had a water path immortal aperture. Fang Yuan's water path attainment level was Grandmaster, he could annex her immortal aperture, it was very useful. Yu Chan and Qin Baihe looked at Fang Yuan, they could sense his deep killing intent, mixed in with greed and ruthlessness, the situation was terrible now, the two women panicked, their hearts were beating, they knew that they were in danger. Qin Baihe forced herself to calm down, telling her companion, Chan even though we are rank 7, our strength will not increase much if we work together, our compatibility in battle is quite low. This enemy is too powerful, we cannot fight him directly, we need to escape. Qin Baihe wanted to retreat before even fighting him. There was no helping it, Fang Yuan's reputation was renowned in the 5 regions now. Yu Chan and Qin Baihe were famous people in Eastern Sea, but how could they compare to Fang Yuan? Yu Chan agreed with Qin Baihe's words deeply, she frowned and transmitted, I think the same. But we are trapped inside the immortal battlefield killer move, how can we escape? This immortal battlefield was completely flawless, like a dark red egg trapping the 3 immortals. There were countless purple stars in the egg shell, shining dazzlingly. The scene was beautiful, but Yu Chan did not have the mood to appreciate it. She wanted nothing more than to smash the egg and create a hole so that she could escape. Qin Baihe quickly replied. I have a method to penetrate the immortal battlefield, to communicate with the outside world and draw in reinforcements. That's great. Yu Chan was joyful. Normally speaking, once a person was trapped in an immortal battlefield, they would be isolated from the outside world, they could not connect to treasure yellow heaven. But this relationship was like a spear and a shield, one side was stronger than another. If the spear was stronger, it would penetrate the defense, but if the shield was stronger, the spear would be helpless. Qin Baihe was one of the 6 fairies of Eastern Sea, similar to Yu Chan. If she sought for help outside, she would get lots of responses. In fact, the two of them were even slightly linked to Eastern Sea rank 8 GU immortals. Even though asking for help would make them owe favors and leave debts behind, their lives were at stake, they did not care. Alright, go ahead, I will defend you. Yu Chan had a determined expression. She stood in front of Qin Baihe. Qin Baihe breathed in deeply, her lustrous black hair spread out as countless flower petals descended. It was a beautiful scene. Within the fragrant flower petals that rained down, Qin Baihe with pale white skin was like a fairy of flowers. It was a moving scene. Over at Yu Chan, her aura was rising, it was becoming stronger. The immortal killer move was activated, droplets of rain filled the sky, before turning into a misty fog that shielded both her and Qin Baihe. Fang Yuan stood in the air, watching them with a nonchalant attitude. Purple light flickered in his eyes as he smiled. Qin Baihe, you want to communicate with the outside world, this killer move fragrant flowery words will not work, don't waste your effort. Saying so, he willed as countless purple stars descended and filled the world. The purple stars crashed down as Yu Chan's rain shield and Qin Baihe's flowers suffered terrible damage. Fang Yuan controlled the immortal battlefield killer move. After creating a wisdom path environment, he had a huge territorial advantage. He suppressed both water path and wood path. My immortal battlefield was created by deduction using 3 rank 8 battlefield killer moves and 18 killer moves as reference. I named it Purple Star Broken Life. It only has one ability, that is to conceal traces and isolate you from the outside world. The space in here is huge, but it only occupies one tiny spot in the outside world. Even if anyone came here, they would not notice the battlefield. Fang Yuan spoke casually, but these two fairies felt their hearts turning cold. Qin Baihe was shocked and uncertain. She was shocked because Fang Yuan actually exposed her plan. She was uncertain because she did not know if he was speaking the truth. So amazing. This Fang Yuan is so scheming, he is definitely not someone who has brawn without brains. Qin Baihe thought about it for a while. She was covered in sweat, she could see how tough Fang Yuan was to deal with. Regardless of the truth behind his words, she had already wavered. This was more effective than most wisdom path killer moves. Yu Chan was someone with a firm attitude, she shouted as she pushed with her palms. Instantly, raindrops moved as countless crystal clear water threads gathered into a huge fish monster. Immortal killer move, whale form rain. Fang Yuan snorted as his gaze shifted. Countless purple stars crashed down and completely suppressed the fish monster and 2 fairies. This immortal battlefield killer move had many of Fang Yuan's wisdom path immortal GU, it had great power. However, Yu Chan and Qin Baihe desperately held on like tough rocks facing impending waves. That huge fish monster was in poor shape after the purple star's attack, but Yu Chan sustained her killer move and replenished it with rainwater. Immortal killer move, soul beast summoning. Fang Yuan willed as he summoned 5 ancient soul beasts, attacking the 2 fairies. He did not use year beast summoning because soul beast summoning was superior. The ancient soul beasts were under Fang Yuan's control, they were obedient, but the suppression of the battlefield made them feel uncomfortable. Inside this wisdom path battlefield killer move, the effect would be better if Fang Yuan used wisdom path immortal GU or killer moves. Other paths would still face suppression and conflict, it was not like the sovereign immortal body. After this, I should modify a soul path battlefield killer move and use it with soul beast summoning, the effect would be great. Fang Yuan thought. The wisdom path battlefield killer move was more useful for concealment and preventing deductions. This was the advantage of the path itself, so Fang Yuan deduced a wisdom path battlefield killer move first. The ancient soul beasts were ferocious, assaulting the 2 female immortals and fighting against them. They were controlled by Fang Yuan. They ignored the fish monster and directly attacked Qin Baihe and Yu Chan, causing them to be in great danger. During the intense battle, Yu Chan's heart sank. Fang Yuan has not attacked yet, but we are already desperately trying to stay alive. If he attacks, we are dead meat. Fang Yuan was still far away, watching the 2 females in tough combat. After a long time of resting and practicing, his methods were now abundant, he had no clear weaknesses. Even without using any signature methods, he forced these 2 rank 7 GU immortals into a corner. Chapter 1486, Death of Beauties. Under Fang Yuan's ferocious attacks, after a dozen breaths, Yu Chan felt fatigued, she could not carry on much longer. Sigh, Qin Baihe sighed deeply as she stopped the immortal killer move fragrant flowery words that had been active. Fang Yuan did not lie to her, fragrant flowery words was useless here, Qin Baihe had tested it, she joined the battle with a heavy heart. She was a Woodpath GU Immortal, she used her killer moves consecutively. Only to see that flowers were falling everywhere, some of her moves had corrosive gases, some of her moves had endless flower petal blades. Qin Baihe's long dress was fluttering with her black hair, she seemed to be dancing in the battle, her body was elegant and extremely attractive. On the other hand, Yu Chan shouted heroically but seductively at the same time. The two women were famous fairies in Eastern Sea's GU Immortal world indeed, they had incredible elegance and were very attractive. If any ordinary GU Immortal met these two precious gems, they would already be melted by their appearance, why would they find problems with them? Not to mention killing them. It was a pity that the two girls met Fang Yuan. Immortal killer move, Ancient Sword Dragon Transformation. Immortal killer move, Reverse Flow Protection Seal. Roar, the sword dragon roared and suddenly appeared, charging at the two girls without stopping. Oh no, Yu Chan shouted loudly, Qin Baihe's heart was about to jump out, she gritted her teeth, evil fiend, take this move. Saying so, flower petals gathered around her and formed into a tornado, sweeping towards the ancient sword dragon. Yu Chan also reacted as she shouted, I will lend you a hand. Saying so, she used her water path killer move and shot out a tidal current. The current fused into the petal tornado and instantly, the tornado grew by several times, its power and multiplied. What a great fusion of water and wood! Qin Baihe praised as her confidence level rose. The flower petal tornado crashed into the ancient sword dragon as after a moment, the ancient sword dragon was completely destroyed by the tornado. Such an incredible result did not make these two fairies happy, they showed an expression of shock instead. Oh no, this ancient sword dragon is fake. Qin Baihe had just thought of this when a huge silver dragon appeared behind her soundlessly. Time seemed to have stopped at that moment. Qin Baihe turned around with difficulty, with the corner of her eyes, she could see that the ancient sword dragon had opened its mouth, biting into her tiny body. Those sharp dragon fangs shining with cold light were like spears, Qin Baihe felt a chill upon seeing them. Fang Yuan, you are a reputed person with rank 8 battle strength, you actually sneak attacked. At the other side, Yu Chan shouted with deep anger in her. Fang Yuan had such an advantage but he still sneak attacked, he was truly too shameless, he did not have the disposition of an expert, he was too shameless. Seeing that Qin Baihe was about to end up in his mouth, at the moment of crisis, Yu Chan attacked with unprecedented ferocity. A huge rain started to drizzle, the raindrops shot towards Fang Yuan like countless arrows. Fang Yuan laughed coldly in his heart, he bit hard without concern. Thump. Because he used too much force, when his teeth collided, there was a dull and loud sound. No, Yu Chan screamed in shock. Almost at the same time, her strong attacks were all reflected back to her by reverse flow protection seal. Yu Chan defended herself in a panic, at this moment, she truly felt how weak she was. How can I beat him? His defensive method uses reverse flow river, all of my attacks are reflected back at me, he is too shameless. Yu Chan felt like she was in an icy abyss. However, when Fang Yuan opened his mouth, there were no bones or flesh, only some petals were in between his teeth. And on the other end, the flying petals gathered and formed a human body. The body quickly moved away, it was a naked Qin Baihe, without any clothes. At this moment, she had used her life-saving killer move and rendered Fang Yuan's attack useless, Qin Baihe managed to escape with her life. Baihe, Yu Chan shouted happily, Qin Baihe had an ashen expression, her lips were trembling. She had escaped from death, the situation was so dangerous earlier, she was only a second away from actually dying. The flower petals flew towards her and gathered on her body, instantly turning into a beautiful dress. Yu Chan quickly flew over and regrouped with her. The two girls had alerted gazes as they looked at Fang Yuan, from the depth of their eyes, there was deep fear and shock. The ancient sword dragon's attack missed but it did not attack again, its dragon pupils were observing the surroundings. I understand now, so that's it. Suddenly, the ancient sword dragon's mouth opened as its voice reverberated in the two girls' ears. Swoosh swoosh swoosh, countless purple stars shot down again, all of the petals in the battlefield were decimated. Qin Baihe's body shook intensely. Fang Yuan's act left her with no way out, she could not use that life-saving method again. Ancient sword dragon roared again as it pounced. The two fairies were pale and were biting their lips, fighting for their lives. This was truly a battle of survival. The two fairies did not dare to hold back anymore, they used their trump cards. Boom boom boom. The intense attacks resulted in dazzling lights, it was like a fireworks display. The ancient sword dragon crossed the fireworks and moved smoothly, reverse flow protection seal reflected all attacks away from it, it was truly unstoppable. The two girls were injured, and their injuries were deepening rapidly. However, Fang Yuan could not take their lives in the meantime. These two fairies were rank 7 GU immortals, they had many methods to protect themselves, being famous people with deep foundations, they were not so simple. Fang Yuan, don't attack, we surrender. We acknowledge your strength, I swear that we will step out of the dragonfish business from now on. Please let us off. After a while of fighting, the two girls were bathed in blood and panting, they begged for mercy. There was no hope of victory for them in this battle at all. From start to end, Fang Yuan had the upper hand, the two girls were resisting desperately, but they could not last much longer. We can pay resources and large amounts of wealth, as long as you let us off. That's right, if we fight to the death, we will detonate our immortal GU, you will get nothing. We should not have been enemies with you, these dragonfish are all yours, we have learned a lesson already, if we see you again, we will take a detour. We swear that after this battle, we will not be enemies with you or initiate any acts of revenge. The two girls said one after another, their opinions were the same. Truly intelligent and perceptive of the situation. The ancient sword dragon stopped attacking and floated elegantly in the air. His cold dragon eyes looked at the two women as Fang Yuan said, then offer one immortal GU each to me, that will express your sincerity. The two girls' hearts tightened, they looked at each other, feeling that Fang Yuan was truly hard to deal with. Once they lost their immortal GU, their battle strength would fall rapidly. But if they did not hand over their immortal GU, they would be in mortal danger. After a bit of hesitation, Yu Chan said, we will agree to this condition, but to prevent any accidents, let's set an agreement to not harm each other, we will use information path methods from both sides. Let's do it. Fang Yuan nodded. However, during their negotiation, they met with obstruction. Qin Baihe and Yu Chan emphasized that once Fang Yuan violates the agreement, he would be faced with death. He would not accept that. Fang Yuan had his own schemes, he had the self-cleansing immortal formation, he planned to use this immortal formation to get rid of the alliance agreements that were not favorable to him. But Fang Yuan could not control this method himself, it would take some time to get rid of these Dao marks. If it was an instant death rule, self-cleansing immortal formation could not help him. Fang Yuan did not want to let these two GU immortals off. If he did, it would be very hard to capture them again like this. Furthermore, Heavenly Court might remove the alliance agreement for them, that would aggravate the situation. In this dragonfish business, Fang Yuan would still have a strong contender in that case. The two did not reach an agreement, the two girls understood Fang Yuan's intentions completely. Fang Yuan, it seems you really want us to die. Even if we die, we will not let you gain anything. Filled with rage, these two girls chose to fight to the death. Fang Yuan smiled coldly, his killing intent surging. After some fighting, he found a chance and his attack landed, half of Qin Baihe's body was torn apart. The entire left side of her body was slashed apart, her organs and bones could be seen inside. Baihe, I will help you. Yu Chan was extremely worried, she came to help but did not know that Fang Yuan's true target was her. Yu Chan was caught unguarded and was bit by the ancient sword dragon. Plop, thick blood oozed out of the crevices between his sharp teeth. Crack, crack, Fang Yuan chewed and swallowed, this beautiful Yu Chan had turned into a pile of mushy flesh and blood, she had died. Ah, Chan-er. Qin Baihe saw that her beloved was killed, she screamed in grief, her eyes were red as tears flowed out. Fang Yuan, you murderer, I will not let you off. Qin Baihe did not dodge anymore, she charged at Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan sneered, he used the immortal killer move Purple Thought Perception Starlight to break Qin Baihe's defense. Next, he opened his mouth and breathed out his sword-like dragon breath. After the dragon breath passed, Qin Baihe's body was completely decimated, only her head was left, staring angrily at Fang Yuan, her beautiful face was still intact, but it was twisted and covered in blood. Fang Yuan flew over slowly and slashed with his dragon claws. Splat! Like watermelon landing on the ground, the dragon claw tore Qin Baihe's head into pieces as brain matter and blood splattered on the ground. Chapter 1487. Searching for loot. With the flash of a bright light, ancient sword dragon returned to human form. Yu Chan and Qin Baihe were dead. From now on, Eastern Sea only had 4 out of 6 fairies left. Fang Yuan slaughtered them mercilessly without a change in expression. He targeted them and used his immortal method. Soon, 2 immortal apertures were taken out and sealed temporarily. Fang Yuan inherited Shadow Sect. He gained Blazing Heaven Demoness, Immortal Aperture Retrieval Method. He also had many other methods that were useful against immortal apertures. Before coming to Eastern Sea, Fang Yuan had already deduced a method to temporarily seal immortal apertures and carry them with him. Thus, Fang Yuan was not busy dealing with the immortal apertures yet. He retracted his immortal battlefield killer move Purple Star Broken Life before calling out Ying Wuxie, Bai Ningbing and the rest. In order to guard against unexpected mishaps, all of Shadow Sect's members were brought with him to Eastern Sea inside the Sovereign Immortal Aperture. Ancient Battle Formation, Omnidirectional Travel. This killer move originally had flaws and was not very useful, but Fang Yuan had modified it greatly. Thus, once he used it, Fang Yuan and the other 3 immortals immediately left Dragonfish Sea area and arrived at White Crane Sea area. White Crane Sea area had a clear breeze and a calm sea. There was blue skies and white clouds. There was a clear horizon between the sea and sky. Countless white cranes were flying around or standing elegantly on the small islands and resting. Fang Yuan did not stop here. He plunged into the deep sea. The rest of the Shadow Sect GU immortals followed Fang Yuan's instructions and started to capture the white cranes in the area. Fang Yuan went to the bottom of the sea. His eyes were sharp as he noticed an immortal GU house straight away. It turned out that he had given up a portion of Dragonfish Sea area to rush to White Crane Sea area just for Qin Baihe's rank 6 immortal GU house Baihe Palace. When Qin Baihe left, she did not bring this immortal GU house with her. For one, peace was too ingrained in her, she was too careless, and on the other hand, she left behind the immortal GU house to defend White Crane Sea area from accidents. Fang Yuan directly approached Baihe Palace. The door opened. It actually allowed Fang Yuan to enter. Because he had turned into Qin Baihe's appearance, familiar faces effect was too amazing, and only Qin Baihe's will was left in this immortal GU house. Fang Yuan successfully entered Baihe Palace and withdrew Qin Baihe's will. The will did not suspect anything until it entered Fang Yuan's mind. But Fang Yuan was prepared for it. With his mind as the battlefield, he quickly captured this will. And using the will, he slowly took over this Baihe Palace. Even with his wisdom path immortal GU and methods, he had to spend a day and night to successfully gain ownership of Baihe Palace. And now, Fang Yuan finally had his own immortal GU house. But this Baihe Palace is not complete, it lacks a lot of things and has low power. It only uses 2 rank 6 immortal GU as the cores. This was specially designed to house Qin Baihe's concubines. Baihe Palace was not reliable, it was quite fragile and was far weaker than He Tribe's immortal GU house Dark Prison. After controlling it, Fang Yuan took a good look at the structure and memorized its profundities before taking it apart, obtaining a large number of GU worms and 2 rank 6 immortal GU. One was Wood Path and the other was Food Path, named Eat Fragrance. This was out of Fang Yuan's expectations. The GU worms on Yu Chan and Qin Baihe, be it immortal GU or mortal GU, were not left to Fang Yuan. Thus, the GU worms that constructed Baihe Palace were all of Fang Yuan's gains in terms of GU worms. Eat Fragrance immortal GU was like a wooden box, small and exquisite, with the size of an adult's index finger. It had a useless ability, that was to help the GU immortal eat fragrance chi and fill their stomachs. But in this world, there are no useless GU worms, only useless GU masters. Fang Yuan had a food path inheritance. With a shift of these thoughts, he found many ways to make use of Eat Fragrance immortal GU. Even though this immortal GU was useless when used alone, it could be paired with other GU worms and display a useful effect that was worth expecting. Currently, Fang Yuan only had 1 food path immortal GU, named Snack. With the addition of Eat Fragrance, his insufficiency in food path immortal GU was reduced to an extent. This was a joyful surprise to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan disassembled Baihe Palace and killed all of the concubines inside it, only their souls were left behind. After returning to White Crane Sea area, the Shadow Sect immortals were still busy fighting against time, capturing and taking the resources inside the sea area. The cranes had formed into groups, there was a huge number of them. There were countless ordinary white cranes, 21 desolate beast cranes, and 4 ancient desolate beast cranes. After spending some effort, Fang Yuan and the rest captured all of the white cranes and even took all of the resources in the sea. There were 2 types of resources in the sea. One was Great History Iron, it was a rank 7 immortal material of Metal Path and Wisdom Path. There was also an Egg Crystal Rock, it was the life essence of Eggman after death. There were a lot of egg crystal rocks, showing that long ago in White Crane Sea area, there was a huge group of eggmen living here. Fang Yuan stored away all of these as he used omnidirectional travel to return to Dragonfish Sea area. There were still many dragonfish left here, the scale was far larger than the ones Fang Yuan owned. Fang Yuan kept all of them in his immortal aperture, this fortune made his dragonfish quantity increase by dozens of times. Yu Chan was the #1 seller in the dragonfish business indeed, her foundation was so deep even Fang Yuan felt shocked. After emptying Dragonfish Sea area, Fang Yuan looked at the sky, but nobody was coming. Heavenly Court is making no movement. To think that I still stalled for time purposely to lure out Heavenly Court's reinforcements. Fang Yuan let out a breath of air, his expression was icy. He had prepared amply, even against a rank 8 GU Immortal, he had no fear. Heavenly Court could guess Fang Yuan's identity and help Yu Chan to resist Fang Yuan. Similarly, he could deduce that Heavenly Court was behind her. Fang Yuan came here, it was an assault on Yu Chan and Qin Baihe, but he was also probing Heavenly Court. And after probing, Heavenly Court still took no actions. This was a little surprising. Heavenly Court actually sent nobody. Did Fairy Ziwei fail to predict this? Did she not react in time? Or maybe Heavenly Court does not have the manpower after all. Fang Yuan's gaze flickered. As an experienced schemer, he guessed the problem Heavenly Court was facing now. Heavenly Court did lack manpower now. Fang Yuan had felt this back when he was escaping in Western Desert. But now, he had confirmed his guess. Since Heavenly Court's GU Immortals did not come, Fang Yuan was not going to wait in vain. Using omnidirectional travel to leave Dragonfish Sea area, he landed Yu Chan's and Qin Baihe's immortal apertures in an unnamed sea area in Eastern Sea. A rank 7 water path immortal aperture and a rank 7 wood path immortal aperture. While the immortal aperture was turning into a blessed land, Fang Yuan went inside. Inside Yu Chan blessed land, the acknowledgement requirement was to kill Fang Yuan. He was very crafty, he changed his appearance and disguised himself before going in. Immortal killer move, blood light spirit suppression. Yu Chan's land spirit was suppressed by Fang Yuan, the water path immortal aperture was soon annexed by Fang Yuan. And in Baihe blessed land, the land spirit's condition had to do with Baihe palace. But Fang Yuan ignored it, he used blood light spirit suppression to subdue the land spirit. However, he could not annex a wood path blessed land, he could only let it stay here now. Since the blessed land could not be found easily when its entrance was closed, this place was still quite safe. Like what Fang Yuan had expected, the two blessed lands had no GU worms, even the resources inside were all destroyed already. Yu Chan and Qin Baihe did not want to leave anything to this murderer. Thankfully, not everyone could trigger the winds of assimilation. After doing all these, Fang Yuan did not want to stay in Eastern Sea anymore, he left. The crimes he committed this time, killing both Yu Chan, Qin Baihe and ransacking their sea areas, would soon be exposed and create a huge commotion in Eastern Sea's GU Immortal world. It was not an exaggeration. Be it Qin Baihe or Yu Chan, they were people with huge influences. And because the GU Immortal world had been peaceful for too long, it would cause some panic with the death of 2 rank 7 experts, Eastern Sea's GU Immortals would be worried for their safety. There would also be a lot of GU Immortal coming with various reasons, like taking revenge for Yu Chan and Qin Baihe, upholding justice, greed over their assets, or to establish their fame. A lot of GU Immortals were going to track down Fang Yuan. Why would he not leave? Even though Fang Yuan was fearless with rank 8 battle strength, he did not want to engage himself in these troublesome affairs. Chapter 1488, Crimes Exposed. Several days later, a GU Immortal was flying above White Crane Sea area. This GU Immortal wore a green shirt and had a young appearance, his nose was sharp and his face was wide, his eyes were shining like stars. Rank 7 aura emanated from his body, his name was Qingyu Ji Cheng, he had a huge origin, being a GU Immortal from the Eastern Sea Super Force Qingyu clan, he was the bloodline descendant of the first Supreme Elder, Qingyuan. This is, seeing the barren state of White Crane Sea area, Qingyu Ji Cheng's expression sank. He had affection towards Qin Baihe, even though he knew she was into women, he could accept it. Even though he could accept Qin Baihe, she did not accept him. It was truly a one-sided affection. Qingyu Ji Cheng was rejected from the start, but he had never given up, he had persevered for the last decade. Even though Qin Baihe disliked him, she did not want to be on bad terms with Qingyu clan, thus, she always replied to Qingyu Ji Cheng's letters, albeit half-heartedly. Qingyu Ji Cheng would write her a love letter once in a while, but Qin Baihe would only reply with one word, read, or okay. Qing Yuji Cheng was satisfied with receiving, read, but if he got, okay, he would be smiling for the next few days. Humans were not emotionless, even GU immortals had lust and feelings of love towards others. But recently, he had not been getting any responses to his letters. Qing Yuji Cheng tried to contact her but they all failed. He had a bad feeling in his heart, he could not wait any longer, he directly came to White Crane Sea area. Once he saw the barren state of White Crane Sea area, Qing Yuji Cheng's brows became tightly locked. In the past, White Crane Sea area had a serene environment with flying white cranes, it was filled with vitality, but now, it was robbed bare, there was literally nothing left. Fairy Bai He, where are you? Qing Yuji Cheng's bad feeling was getting worse, he immediately dived into the sea. He had been here many times, even though Qin Bai He did not welcome him, he often found many appropriate reasons to find her. This time, after entering the sea, the image that he saw was far different from the image in his mind. He saw a huge trench with countless crevices and broken rocks. Qing Yuji Cheng's heart sank to rock bottom. Oh no, looking at the situation here, this place was robbed. After checking for a while, Qing Yuji Cheng was filled with rage. They have such guts. They dare to rob Fairy Bai He's sea area, the great history iron and egg crystal rocks were all plundered, this person is so arrogant. Fairy Bai He, you must be safe. Qing Yuji Cheng thought of the person he loved as he felt shocked and scared. He looked around but did not find that rank 6 immortal GU house Bai He palace. Qing Yuji Cheng was unresigned, he used his investigative method to look at the surroundings again. He found nothing. Qin Bai He seemed to have vanished into thin air, Bai He palace was missing too, and even more strangely, Qing Yuji Cheng could not find any traces of battle in this place at all. Fang Yuan did not kill Qin Bai He or Yu Chan here, that was in Dragonfish Sea area. But even if Qing Yuji Cheng went to Dragonfish Sea area, he would not find any traces. Fang Yuan's methods to erase traces were simply too outstanding. And the battle was even conducted in the battlefield killer move Purple Star Broken Life. Qing Yuji Cheng could not find anything, he felt suspicious. Fairy Bai He is an expert among rank 7 GU immortals, it is unlikely that anyone can kill her stealthily. Unless it is a rank 8 GU immortal. But rank 8s usually govern a domain and restrict each other, any movement from them would cause a huge commotion, how could they come to kill Fairy Bai He without reason? Hee. Thinking of this, Qing Yuji Cheng's worries lifted. But soon, his expression turned stiff. Don't tell me Fairy Bai He got sick of me and decided to change locations and moved all her resources with her. Qing Yuji Cheng thought about it, the possibility was slim. White Crane Sea area produced a lot of resources, how could Qin Bai He give up on it? Even if she found a better area, there was no reason to leave this place alone. Unless, she encountered an unbeatable enemy. Against such a strong foe, she had no choice but to give up and retreat. Qing Yuji Cheng had another thought. But soon, he shook his head. If she met with a strong enemy, why would Fairy Bai He not seek help? With her network, with just one word, she would receive a lot of help from various GU immortals. So what happened exactly? Why did Fairy Bai He vanish so mysteriously? Qing Yuji Cheng frowned deeply. He did not think that Qin Bai He was dead. Firstly, he did not want to think in that direction, secondly, that possibility was too bizarre. Qin Bai He was a famous person in Eastern Sea's GU immortal world, her strength was not weak, she was rank 7. Who could easily kill such a person? Like what Qing Yuji Cheng had said, unless it was a rank 8 GU immortal. But this possibility was even slimmer. The 5 regions have been in peace for too long. Qing Yuji Cheng subconsciously felt that such a cruel murder would not occur, and it would definitely not happen to his beloved fairy. But after his investigation, Qing Yuji Cheng had a conclusion. Regardless of what happened, Fairy Bai He must be in trouble, I need to find her and help her. At once, the thought of the hero saving the beauty appeared in Qing Yuji Cheng's mind. If there are no clues here, I will find the nearby GU immortals and ask them. Yu Chan's name soon appeared in Qing Yuji Cheng's mind. Yu Chan's Dragonfish Sea area was famous too. And in terms of distance, Yu Chan was closest to Qin Bai He. They were basically neighbors. Qing Yuji Cheng moved with lightning speed, he immediately left White Crane Sea area and spent some effort to reach Dragonfish Sea area. Dragonfish Sea area was in a worse state than White Crane Sea area, this place used to have countless dragonfish swimming about in millions per group, it was one of the most amazing sights in Eastern Sea, but now, it was empty. A breeze was blowing as the seawater became turbulent, waves were created endlessly. What is happening? Even Dragonfish Sea area was robbed. Qing Yuji Cheng was tongue-tied, he expressed shock in his eyes. Qin Baihe and Yu Chan's sea areas were in such states. Who was the one who caused this? After all, both Yu Chan and Qin Baihe were powerful rank 7 experts, they were not weak at all. This time, Qing Yu Ji Cheng not only felt suspicion, he felt fear. He came extremely alert, he went deep into the sea to investigate, but the sad thing was he found out nothing. How can this be? What happened exactly? Not just Fairy Baihe, even Fairy Yu Chan also encountered this. Wait, the dragonfish business, Treasure Yellow Heaven. Qing Yu Ji Cheng's body shook as he connected to Treasure Yellow Heaven. Yu Chan's dragonfish business was famous in all 5 regions, she definitely had her will in Treasure Yellow Heaven to manage the dragonfish business. Qing Yu Ji Cheng's consciousness entered Treasure Yellow Heaven as he quickly contacted Yu Chan's will. Once they conversed, Qing Yu Ji Cheng found out that Yu Chan's will had no idea what happened. Yu Chan and her will communicate quite frequently, the interval is at most 3 days each time. This means that in the last 3 days, she and Fairy Baihe have encountered a mysterious attack. Qing Yu Ji Cheng felt sweat dripping off his forehead. The more he investigated, the more he uncovered the truth, it was mysterious and terrifying. Be it Yu Chan or Qin Baihe, they would not take away the resources randomly and run away. All this showed that they had met with an unstoppable threat. An intense worry filled Qing Yu Ji Cheng's heart. No, I need to get home and get help from the GU Immortals in my clan. Qing Yu Ji Cheng looked at the empty dragonfish sea area as he felt a chill down his spine, he quickly returned and did not dare to stay any longer. Qin Baihe's and Yu Chan's murder was exposed. Even though there was no evidence pointing to the 2 fairies' deaths, with Qing Yu clan's great strength, they quickly unveiled a portion of the truth. Meanwhile, the culprit behind this murder case was scot-free, flying casually in Western Desert. After leaving Eastern Sea, Fang Yuan did not go to Northern Plains, instead, he went past southern border and arrived in Western Desert. Above the clouds, Fang Yuan's consciousness entered the sovereign immortal aperture as he inspected his gains from Eastern Sea. After killing Yu Chan and Qin Baihe, Fang Yuan's gains were huge. He gained a large number of dragonfish, the scale far surpassed Dragon Scale Sea area, they were living all over mini Eastern Sea now. He also got a high quantity of Great History Iron and Egg Crystal Rocks. There were also 2 rank 6 Immortal GU, Fang Yuan had already started arranging their food. Qin Baihe's Woodpath Immortal Aperture was left in Eastern Sea, he could not annex it or bring it with him. Yu Chan's Waterpath Immortal Aperture was already annexed, he gained a huge sea area and a large number of Waterpath Dao marks. But these gains were far inferior to City Well. Indeed, the secluded domain of heaven and earth, City Well, was now in Fang Yuan's Sovereign Immortal Aperture. After Fang Yuan went to Eastern Sea, he first went to Turbulent Flow Sea area and moved the City Well that was left there into Sovereign Immortal Aperture. After that, he went to Dragonfish Sea area and killed Yu Chan and Qin Baihe. Secluded domain of heaven and earth, City Well. Fang Yuan had wanted to get City Well long ago, but back then, pulling Mountain Immortal GU was ineffective against it, he could not relocate it into his Immortal Aperture. But now, using the light of wisdom, he created an Immortal Killer move using pulling Mountain Immortal GU as the core, to target and move City Well. After a long time of hard work, he succeeded. Chapter 1489. Variant Human Raising Plan. The well was squarish on the outside, but it was circular on the surface inside. City Well. Fang Yuan thought about it, he placed City Well in mini Central Continent. After Danghun Mountain, Luopo Valley, and Reverse Flow River, this was Fang Yuan's 4th secluded domain of heaven and earth. Throughout history, there were few GU immortals who could achieve the feat of collecting 4 secluded domains of heaven and earth. City Well was written in less than the legends of Ren Zhu greater than, it was formerly the living environment of Miniman. Right now, that mini-city and City Well had been destroyed by Fang Yuan. Originally, minuscule mountain was inside it, but it had already been removed from City Well and destroyed in Northern Plains. However, Fang Yuan's City Well was not empty, there were many blessed lands inside it. The owner of these immortal apertures were the ones who were killed by Fang Yuan using City Well. After the immortal aperture becomes a blessed land, it needed to absorb heaven and earth chi, the entrance had to be open to connect to the outside world. Fang Yuan had taken the chance to enter and explore these blessed lands. Those without land spirits that could be ransacked were already looted. The remaining blessed lands had a lot of cultivation resources left behind, Fang Yuan did not take them yet. Now that I have bloodlight spirit suppression, I can suppress these land spirits, but without the upper extreme heavenly eagle, I cannot enter. These immortal apertures entrances were closed now, Fang Yuan could not enter for the time being. If I can annex these immortal apertures, and take all of their resources away, my Tao marks will rise sharply and my immortal aperture development will also increase. This was a huge amount of profits that Fang Yuan could not devour yet, but it was already his, so there was little chance of getting stolen. Fang Yuan was quite pleased. Other than these blessed lands, City Well has huge value, it cannot be underestimated. With City Well, Fang Yuan could raise variant humans and even purebred humans. This was a good thing. The GU Immortal world classified the development of immortal apertures into 7 levels. The first level was establishing mortal resources, to produce mortal GU materials, and ordinary beasts and plants. The second level was to have immortal material resources to feed immortal GU. The third level was to raise and produce immortal beasts and plants, completing the ecosystem. The fourth level was to use excess immortal materials, beasts, and plants to trade and earn profits. The fifth level was to produce immortal GU naturally in the immortal aperture. The sixth level was to raise variant human and humans, and produce GU immortals among them. The seventh level was to produce lifespan GU. These 7 levels were in order, they were the summation of the GU Immortal world's experiences throughout time. Until now, it was the golden rule of GU Immortal cultivation. It was not that GU Immortals could not raise variant humans or humans in their immortal aperture from the start, but if they did, the results would not be optimal and they would be wasting their own foundation instead. These 7 levels were in order, it was created by generations of geniuses in the GU Immortal world for countless years. If one progressed using this template, their immortal apertures would be very stable and healthy. Fang Yuan was currently at the 3rd and 4th level, he was quite far from the 5th level. But he had City Well now, he could directly jump into the 6th level of development. City Well could allow a GU Immortal to jump levels and raise variant humans and even humans easily. What was the advantage of raising variant humans or humans? The benefits were too immense. Each variant human race has its own unique resources. For example, snowmen had ice tears and snow lotus essence, rockmen had rock dragon X, while feathermen had freedom GU. If these resources were produced on a large scale, they would be sold in the market for huge profits. Other than these unique resources, there was also one common resource. That was human chi, heaven chi, earth chi, human chi. Balancing these 3 chi was the crucial point of immortal ascension. During the process of immortal ascension, the higher the human chi, the greater the GU master's foundation, and the better the quality of the immortal aperture formed. After becoming a GU immortal, human chi's usage would fall by a lot. The GU immortal only needed to balance heaven and earth chi, replenishing them once in a while to stabilize their immortal aperture world. But that did not mean that human chi was useless. Conversely, human chi was extremely important to GU immortals. But the method to use human chi had been lost long ago. Chi path was created earlier than strength path, it was strong in the past, but had declined by now. At the moment, there were quite a few methods to use human chi as a GU material. Especially some chi path GU immortals with some exotic methods, even though these chi path GU immortals were quite rare already. Be it variant humans or normal humans, they could produce human chi. The higher the number and strength of the variant humans and normal humans, the higher quantity of the human chi. Of course, under the same circumstances, the human chi produced by a variant human is lower in quantity than a purebred human. Other than human chi, there would also be a lot of special, immortal materials that would be produced by variant humans and humans. For example, fan door wind. This rank 7 immortal material only grew on the doors of mortal houses, instead of in nature like forests or mountains. Whenever this immortal material is produced, the mortal's door would not be able to close, it could only stay open. Such a special immortal material could not be found in the wilderness. And there is a hypothesis in shadow sect's inheritance. The more human chi one accumulates, the more likely that GU Immortal can comprehend the profundity of human path. Thinking of this, bright light shined in Fang Yuan's eyes. Human path. This was the path created by Ren Zhu. Throughout history, some rank 8 great experts or rank 9 venerables would comprehend some of the profundities inside less than the legends of Ren Zhu greater than in their lives. For example, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable studied less than the legends of Ren Zhu greater than and created all living beings luck in heaven and earth luck. Or for example, the ancestor Chai Fu from southern borders Chai clan, he had created the human path killer move from studying less than the legends of Ren Zhu greater than in his later years, allowing Chai clan to become a super force. Such instances were innumerable. In my situation, if I start raising variant humans and humans, it would only destroy my immortal aperture's environment, I would waste too much time and effort, my foundation would be expended. But with City Well, I will be able to raise them in isolation, it will not interfere with my immortal aperture development. Furthermore, raising variant humans or humans in City Well will be more effective than usual due to the special environment. Forget about humans, their intelligence is too high, and they expend too many resources. Now, I should choose one type of variant humans to raise in here. There were 10 variant human races in the GU world. They were hairy men, rockmen, snowmen, feathermen, mermen, inkmen, eggmen, beastmen, minimen, and mushroomen. Each had their own specialty. Which one should I choose? Fang Yuan had not decided. There was only one City Well, he could only choose one type of them to raise. Because variant humans needed different living environments, raising more than one would only result in losses to him. Forget about beastmen, they are extinct. Hairy men, I do need them to refine GU for me. Rockmen, I had raised a batch before, with Guts GU, I can raise them very easily. Snowmen are good too, I am related to them by marriage now, the Snowman tribe is supporting me. As for Minimen, they are suited for this City Well to begin with, my immortal aperture development also needs these Minimen to nurture my immortal plants. As for Feathermen, Mermen, Inkmen, Eggmen, and Mushroomen, either one of them would give me huge benefits too. Fang Yuan thought about it, by the time he reached his destination, he did not come up with an answer. This problem was not urgent. Because even if Fang Yuan considered it, he did not have the funds to start this huge project now. His immortal essence stone storage was quite low now. But thankfully, he had a lot of red date immortal essence, even though he had just fought against Yu Chan and Qin Bai He. This was due to the sovereign immortal aperture's time flow. After being restored and further raised by Fang Yuan's time path method, the rate of time was much higher than 1 to 60 now. Thus, Fang Yuan's red date immortal essence was accumulating rapidly. In this Eastern Sea trip, I collected City Well and killed Yu Chan. I have no rivals in the dragonfish business now, I am earning huge profits every day, that is certain. As long as I continue to sell dragonfish, my problem of low funds will be solved soon. The important thing now is thieving Heaven's dream realm. Fang Yuan thought about it as he descended from the clouds, landing on the desert. On the blazing desert, a GU immortal was standing and waiting. He smiled as he cupped his fists at Fang Yuan. Tang Fangming greets Lord Fang Yuan. Chapter 1490, Thieving Heaven's Dream Realm. Fang Yuan met Tang Fangming again. This person was not simple. In the 500 years of Fang Yuan's previous life, he had become extremely famous during the 5 regions chaotic war. He was almost like the Ma Hongyun of Western Desert. Of course, now that Fang Yuan inherited Shadow Sect, he learned about many things. During the 500 years of his previous life, Spectral Soul Demon Venerable successfully revived and had sovereign immortal fetus GU. He lurked in Heavenly Court and secretly controlled the 5 regions, plotting against the world. Ma Hongyun's rise was manipulated by Shadow Sect secretly. Tang Fangming and even the rise of Tang Clan were also due to the actions of Shadow Sect. Even though Heavenly Court lacks manpower now and seems unable to cope, once the Dream Realms expand and the 5 regions get into war, all sorts of people will awaken in Heavenly Court, they will shake the world once again. Heavenly Court's foundation was too deep, even Shadow Sect could not contest it. Fang Yuan was starting to understand why Shadow Sect reacted in that way. He was now following Shadow Sect's old path. Ma Hongyun was killed but Tang Clan was still around, he had to support it. Fang Yuan had decided on this long ago. Back then, when he and Tang Clan interacted and worked together, he was not just trying to use their tributary of the River of Time, he also wanted to work with them sincerely. Heavenly Court was now aggressively plotting for the future, when the Great Era arrives. Yu Chan and Qin Bai He were almost used by Fairy Zi Wei as pawns, therefore Fang Yuan had to eliminate them. Be it for the dragonfish business, profits, or the situation of the future. To contest with a powerhouse like Heavenly Court, Fang Yuan's schemes needed to be elevated to encompass all 5 regions, he needed to plot against the world. Tang Fangming was extremely happy that Fang Yuan had arrived. The last time Fang Yuan left Western Desert, he was escaping. Tang Fangming did not expect him to return so quickly. Bring me to Thieving Heaven's Dream Realm. Fang Yuan spoke directly regarding his goal. Lord Fang Yuan acts quickly, I am in deep admiration, please follow me. Tang Fangming led the way. The two flew for a while before arriving on top of an unassuming desert. Tang Fangming stopped and stretched out his finger as a crack opened in the air, immortal aura permeated from it. Fang Yuan was a formation path grandmaster. He had deep foundations. After seeing this immortal formation, his eyes shined as he praised, "What a good immortal GU formation." This immortal formation's concealment was incredible. Even if Fang Yuan had his investigative killer move active, he could not detect it. "Lord Fang Yuan, follow me." Tang Fangming entered the crack first. Fang Yuan did not hesitate, he followed. After entering it, Fang Yuan found out that the space created by this immortal formation was like a grassland. His field of vision was very wide, there was lush greenery all around, and the most attracting thing was Thieving Heaven's dream realm at the center of the plain. Thieving Heaven's dream realm was huge, like a mountain. It was emitting a blue eerie light, radiating the entire formation path space. The 5 regions' chaotic war had not started yet, but this dream realm of Thieving Heaven was uncovered earlier and found by Tang Clan. They secretly kept it and had been researching it. Even though Tang Clan obtained this precious treasure, they were clueless about Dream Path, their progress was very slow in it. And this progress was already built on Tang Fangming's great talent and ingenuity. Even so, he nearly died in the Dream Realm. If his sister had not given up the clues to Paradise Earth's true inheritance and got help from White Sea Shituo, Tang Fangming would have died. And White Sea Shituo was a split soul of spectral soul. During the Battle of Yitian Mountain, he led the Western Desert Shadow Sect members and died in the battlefield. Fang Yuan did not mention the incident with White Sea Shituo to Tang Clan or Tang Fangming. The clue of Paradise Earth's true inheritance was also in Fang Yuan's hands currently. Paradise Earth's true inheritance was not Fang Yuan's focus now, he was looking at the huge dream realm of Thieving Heaven now. This blue and dazzling dream realm was very dangerous. Because it contained Heaven's will. Heaven's will could invade dream realms. Fang Yuan had suffered from this during the southern border dream realm incident. Long ago, when he explored the dream realm of Starry Sky Grotto Heaven, he also met with Heaven's will. Heaven's will appeared in star constellation Immortal Venerable's form to advise him, and allowed him to outwit Spectral Soul during the Battle of Yitian Mountain. As the saying goes, people learn from mistakes. An old demon like Fang Yuan drilled this lesson into the depths of his heart. Once the dream realm manifests for too long, Heaven's will would invade it. That happened in Southern Border's giant dream realm. Thieving Heaven's dream realm, in Western Desert, has been around for even longer. I'm sure Heaven's will has already completely taken over. Fang Yuan's eyes shone with an eerie light. If it were before, I would need to avoid it. But now he. Fang Yuan's lips curled up as he stretched out his arm, aiming at Thieving Heaven's dream realm. Immortal aura surged as Fang Yuan's body was covered in a gray-white light. His palms were also enveloped by this gray-white light. Fang Yuan took a step forward and let both palms approach the dream realm. Eventually, the gray-white light came into contact with Thieving Heaven's dream realm while Fang Yuan's palms were merely an inch away. Fang Yuan had the sovereign immortal body, not pure dream reality seeker physique. If he really touched it, his soul would be trapped inside the dream realm. He was very vigilant about that. The gray-white light flowed like water, entering Thieving Heaven's dream realm without obstruction. The gray-white light continued to permeate as it spread out towards the surroundings from Fang Yuan's palms as the center. This phenomenon lasted for a while. It was as if the mountain-like dream realm was covered by a gray-white light. The light continued to expand, but Tang Fangming only watched quietly by the side. He could not tell what it was, but he knew it was an immortal killer move. Lord Fang Yuan is truly formidable. He actually created an immortal killer move against the dream realm. Compared to him, I have only created several Dream Path mortal GU. There truly is a mountain above a mountain, a man standing above another man. Tang Fangming felt deep admiration. He felt how unfathomable Fang Yuan was. Fang Yuan was expressionless, but he was quite nervous internally. He was activating the immortal killer move, Heaven's Will Dissipation. Even though it was not his first time, this was his first attempt at using it on a dream realm. Heaven's Will Dissipation used Heavenly Secret Immortal GU as the core. It could eliminate Heaven's Will. He had used it against Spring Autumn Cicada earlier. Now that he was using it on a dream realm, who knew what would happen? Time passed. 10 minutes went by quickly. The gray-white light had expanded quite a lot, not only on the surface, but also into Thieving Heaven's dream realm. Thieving Heaven's dream realm was like a mountain, but 1/10 of it was already covered by gray-white light. Just when Tang Fangming thought that the gray-white light was going to expand further, it stopped moving as multicolored eyes started to appear from the gray-white light. These eyes were very special, they changed colors with each blink. The number of multicolored eyes increased rapidly. After a few breaths of time, they went from tens to hundreds, and to thousands in a flash. After several tens of breaths, there were millions of multicolored eyes. They filled the gray-white light, not only on the surface but also inside the light itself. There is an effect. Fang Yuan was excited internally but remained expressionless. Tang Fangming could not sense the fluctuation of his emotions. The multicolored eyes continued to blink as Fang Yuan's red date immortal essence was expended rapidly. The heavens will in Thieving Heaven's dream realm was also getting wiped out along with it. The multicolored eyes blinked for several times before vanishing, but new eyes would grow in their place. Heaven's will was rapidly destroyed. After a while, there was no heaven's will left in the gray-white light. At this time, the gray-white light would expand as the multicolored eyes moved in for more destruction. Fang Yuan activated heaven's will dissipation for 3 days and nights. Eventually, in Thieving Heaven's dream realm, there was none of heaven's will remaining. Fang Yuan continued to activate the killer move and kept a veil of gray-white light around Thieving Heaven's dream realm at all times. This way, as long as heaven's will tried to invade it, it would be destroyed by the multicolored eyes in the white light. And now, Thieving Heaven's dream realm was finally safe. Next, I will explore this dream realm. Fang Yuan let out a breath of air. He was filled with joy in his heart. Chapter 1491, Pitiful Young Man. Ying Wuxie, He Lu Lan, White Rabbit, and Fairy Miao Yin came out of Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture. Next, I will personally explore the dream realm. Fang Yuan turned around and said to Tang Fangming. Tang Fangming's heart shook, but he soon understood Fang Yuan's words. He smiled bitterly. Fairies, please come with me. This immortal GU formation that concealed Thieving Heaven's dream realm was controlled by Tang Fangming. But now, Tang Fangming was giving up a portion of the control to Shadow Sex Immortals, so that they could control it along with him. This was part of the content of Fang Yuan's and Tang Clan's alliance agreement. When Fang Yuan explores the dream realm, his soul would leave his body and enter the dream realm, his body would be left unguarded. That was quite a dangerous situation. Thus, Fang Yuan brought out Shadow Sect's GU Immortals. They were in charge of protecting him. This immortal GU formation could not be left under the control of outsiders, thus, Shadow Sect's GU Immortals had to take part of the control of this formation. This way, be it Shadow Sect or Tang Clan, they could restrict each other, neither could do anything vicious to Fang Yuan's body. Fang Yuan always did things with utmost caution. After the formation was half controlled by Shadow Sect, he went out of his body and entered Thieving Heaven's dream realm. Tang Fangming did not blink, he watched in concentration. This is the truly important method. His breathing became rough, his mind was filled with thoughts of learning. But what crucial technique could he learn from just watching Fang Yuan like this? Where am I? Fang Yuan entered the dream as his vision changed. He found himself in a young male body. He was inside a tattered tent. The tent was very simple, it was merely a tattered tarp. Wind blew and the tent shook. A cold chill could be felt as Fang Yuan's vision shifted towards the hole on the tent. The tent was torn. Damn this guy, not only did he beat me, he even tore my tent. The young man that Fang Yuan was acting as gritted his teeth as he muttered to himself. Next, this young man lowered his head, inspecting his injuries. Fang Yuan's vision was turned again as he looked at his dirty and tattered clothes. He was really pitiful and poor, his chest was covered in blue-black wounds. The young man touched the injuries on his body. Waves of pain could be felt by Fang Yuan. To think that I, the great Ben Jia's son, would end up in this ridiculous world, growing up as a kid again, and being bullied by a bunch of youngsters. This is too much. This world is absurd. Humans actually control GU worms to gain mysterious powers. This is just like a nightmare. Sigh, if this was really a dream, why have I not woken up after more than a decade? Fang Yuan listened to the young man's words, his heart shook. He knew of many secrets. Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable was an otherworldly demon like him. He had transmigrated from another world. Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable's name is Ben Jia's son. That means that in this dream, I am acting as Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable himself. But he is still a mortal youngster now, he has not started his GU cultivation journey. Fang Yuan understood. At this moment, the young man muttered again, but thankfully, the tribe will open the sacred land tonight. Once I enter it, I will be able to awaken my aperture and start cultivating. I will gain GU master powers. Oh, I hope this power can allow me to escape this place and return to my homeland. The young Thieving Heaven said this as he felt pain. He gritted his teeth and stood up, moving towards his tent flap as he walked outside. Fang Yuan was like a will attached to this young Thieving Heaven. He could only watch but could not manipulate his actions. This was a rare situation even for Fang Yuan. After trying all his methods and failing, Fang Yuan could only watch as an observer as the dream realm went on. Young Thieving Heaven went out of his tent. Immediately, in Fang Yuan's vision, he saw a green oasis under the moon. It was night time, the round moon was high in the sky, its pure moonlight raining down on the entire oasis. This oasis was very small, there was a pond at the center, with many tents surrounding it. These tents were of varying sizes and colors, most were gray and white, some were yellow, gold, and purple. These tents with brighter colors were usually larger, signifying the higher status of their owners. Young Thieving Heaven looked at the area with admiration, before turning around to look at his own tent. His tent was tiny and ugly, it was covered in black soot, there were even holes in it, cold wind blew in at night. The young Thieving Heaven frowned as arrogance flashed in his eyes, he snorted, "After tonight, I will not stay in such a horrible place anymore." Saying so, he walked towards the central tent. Along the way, many youngsters came out of their tents. They had stiff expressions, nobody dared to say a word. Today was the most important day of their lives, it was the most sacred moment. According to Western Desert's customs, all of the youngsters had to be reverent and not speak unnecessarily. Whoever spoke too much or showed too much emotions, either joy or sadness, would cause the ritual to lose its elegance, they would be severely punished and even exiled by the clan. Once they were exiled, any mortal youngster would die without doubt. The severity of the punishment was evident. More and more youngsters gathered towards the center of the oasis, a crowd was forming. Along the way, young Thieving Heaven naturally met the youngsters who beat him. Fang Yuan turned to look, they were all tall and muscular, their bodies were much larger than the surrounding youngsters, their clothes were also evidently more expensive, showing that they had extraordinary background. These youngsters also saw young Thieving Heaven, even though they did not dare to speak, their fierce and provocative gazes were clearly seen. Young Thieving Heaven snorted, feeling no fear. Both sides walked with fierce gazes until they arrived at the pond in the middle of the oasis. There were common reeds growing around the pond, these white reed were flowering, swaying along with the night winds, while moonlight poured down warmly. All of the wild Hope Gu were living in the reed, there were countless Hope Gu here based on the number of flickering lights. This made Fang Yuan remember the scene of his awakening ceremony back on Qingmao Mountain. Even though Western Desert's traditions were different from southern borders, they were both using Hope Gu to awaken the aperture, the process was quite similar. One by one, the youngsters walked into the reed field as wild Hope Gu flew around in shock. Their apertures awakened one by one, they were worried, sad, happy, and depressed respectively. For most mortals, the aptitude of the aperture decided their life's achievements. But different from southern borders' heated atmosphere, Western Desert had a solemn and quiet atmosphere during this ceremony. Even if one felt immense joy or sadness, they had to control themselves, their expressions could distort, they could shed tears, but they could not make a sound. Soon, it was young Thieving Heaven's turn. He could not wait, he went into the reed the moment permission was granted. But the aptitude that he had was only the worst D-grade. D-grade aptitude GU masters had only 20 to 30% primeval essence in their apertures, most could become rank 1 but few could reach rank 2. GU masters with such aptitudes had basically no potential or future. It was basically confirmed that GU masters with D-grade aptitudes would end up being at the bottom of the GU master hierarchy in their lives. How can I have D-grade aptitude? Young Thieving Heaven screamed immediately. Shut up. The GU master in charge of the event immediately captured Thieving Heaven and sealed his mouth. Young Thieving Heaven struggled intensely, the GU master snorted coldly and chopped with his palm. Young Thieving Heaven immediately fainted. Fang Yuan's field of vision also turned dark. He found that he could not do anything, even Unravel Dream had no effect. The larger the dream realm, the more restrictive power it has. However, Unravel Dream had no effect likely because this dream realm that I am in is very special. Fang Yuan estimated. He tried again and upon seeing no effect, he had to helplessly wait for the next scene. Chapter 1492, Thieving Heaven's Fortuitous Encounter. In the vast darkness, Fang Yuan's soul was suffering. This dark space had an immense corrosive effect on his soul. This was something Fang Yuan had never seen when exploring dream realms. Fortunately, Fang Yuan's soul foundation was extraordinary, he was over 10 million man soul, he could endure the corrosion of the dream realm. Time in the dream realm could not be estimated. He only felt like a long time had passed before a white light appeared in the vast darkness. The white spot extended into a white line, before the line expanded up and down, light burst out as it filled Fang Yuan's vision. Young Thieving Heaven gradually awakened. The white light was the blazing sun. Young Thieving Heaven quickly used his hand to shield his eyes. Why am I here? He soon found himself lying on the desert. Night had already passed, it was noon now. Young Thieving Heaven's doubts did not last long because soon, he found some information in his mind. This information was left behind by the clan's GU master. The content was that young Thieving Heaven had defied the clan rules and was exiled as punishment. But because he was young and ignorant, he only needed to stay in this desert for 3 days. As long as he returned to the clan after that, he would be able to join the clan again and live there. FCK. After understanding what had happened, young Thieving Heaven cursed as his saliva shot out. I had merely said a few words and you guys exiled me. This is abusing children. You simply disregard lives. You bastards. I curse you. Young Thieving Heaven raised his middle finger, but he did not know where to point. He did not even know his directions now. He did not know where the clan was at. This discovery made young Thieving Heaven lose all his vigor. He sat on the ground. What do I do now? Even though I became a GU master, I have no GU worms. I have no water or food. By night time, without any warm clothes or tents to shield me from the wind, I will freeze to death. No, I must live. I will survive in this accursed world and find a way home. Young Thieving Heaven gritted his teeth. 2 flames of ambition were burning in his eyes. At the same time, Fang Yuan felt his body relaxing. The restraints on him vanished suddenly. When he moved his arms and legs, young Thieving Heaven also moved his arms and legs. Oh, I can control it now. It seems that I need to take the place of young Thieving Heaven and survive in this desert. Fang Yuan immediately realized. Struggling to survive in a desperate situation, Fang Yuan had experienced that many times, but he was in a difficult spot now. There was simply one reason: he had nothing to work with. Young Thieving Heaven had nothing on him. He only had 20 to 30% primeval essence without a single mortal GU. Asking him to survive in the desert was harder than ascending heaven. The clan exiled him like this. They want him to die. No, more accurately, they do not care about a GU master like him. Normally speaking, every GU master was precious, but Fang Yuan thought about the scene before. He realized the reason. The clan that young Thieving Heaven is in is not strong. They have few resources. Thus, even if they have potential GU masters, they need to nurture the talented ones. Fang Yuan smiled bitterly. This discovery was useless for the problem he was facing. Looking around, all he saw was sand. There was no greenery anywhere. Immortal killer move, unravel dream. Fang Yuan used it, but after a while, he saw nothing happening. This useful trump card that had helped him countless times was completely restricted in Thieving Heaven's dream realm. Fang Yuan sighed deeply. I can only test my luck. He chose a direction and started moving. 1.5 days later, Fang Yuan encountered nothing. He died of thirst along the way. After that, Fang Yuan's soul suffered a huge injury. He was forced out of the dream. The exploration of the dream realm failed. His soul was heavily injured and returned to the sovereign immortal body. Fang Yuan felt dizzy and saw darkness. He quickly used Guts GU to heal his injuries. Guts GU. Tang Fangming saw this and had a look of envy. He watched as Fang Yuan used many Guts GU to heal his soul rapidly. Guts GU was the best supporting GU for exploring dream realms. Fang Yuan went into Thieving Heaven's dream realm again as his soul left his body. Arriving in the desert again, Fang Yuan sighed. He chose a different direction and moved forward. After walking for a day, there was still nothing in his vision. Fang Yuan was tired and thirsty. He felt his body reaching its limit. If Thieving Heaven was in the same situation in history, he had no way of surviving. He needed external help or fortuitous encounters. This means, one direction will have a fortuitous encounter. But my luck was bad. I did not encounter it. This round seems to depend on the explorer's luck. It is a pity my luck path methods cannot be used in the dream, unless I can combine dream path and luck path to create an immortal killer move or immortal GU of both paths. That will have effect. Fang Yuan continued to analyze. His second exploration failed again. After resting, he started his third try. This time, he chose a different direction. Soon, he encountered a pit. This was a quicksand pit. Fang Yuan was stuck and could not escape. Am I going to die again? Fang Yuan was a little stifled. He could only watch as the sand devoured him. But unexpectedly, before the quicksand covered his head, sand started to spew upwards like a geyser, shooting Fang Yuan towards the sky. After Fang Yuan landed, the quicksand pit had turned into a hole. It was blowing out cold air. It was a cool and comfortable breeze. This might work. Fang Yuan quickly got close to the pit and saw that there were winged fish flying out of the hole along with the breeze. These were not fish, they were mortal cool wind GU. Fang Yuan quickly wanted to subdue these mortal GU, but the cool wind GU were very fast, they ignored Fang Yuan. The edges of the hole were blowing air and repelling Fang Yuan, pushing him away. Fang Yuan had low strength and was very hungry, he could not get close to the hole and interact with these cool wind GU. But Fang Yuan was not dejected, he patiently waited. Not long after, his chance appeared, a cool wind GU was injured when colliding into its companions, it fell to the ground and left the cool air, landing at the fringe of the hole. Fang Yuan quickly grabbed this cool wind GU. But in his excitement, he squashed it to death. Fang Yuan was speechless, he could only wait. Soon, his chance appeared again, 2 cool wind GU flew out. But before Fang Yuan captured them, they flew up again and went into the cool air tunnel. Fang Yuan sighed, but he suddenly had an inspiration, what if I use Unravel Dream at this time? He used Immortal killer move Unravel Dream again, at the next moment, he saw an effect, a cool wind GU flew out. Fang Yuan grabbed it and before he refined it, a second cool wind GU flew down and was quite injured, it tried to move its wings but could not fly. Fang Yuan captured it as well and after some effort, he refined both cool wind GU. When the cool air vanished, these wild cool wind GU flew with it and left Fang Yuan's vision, but he already had 5 cool wind GU in his aperture. I finally have some methods. Even though the issue of survival was not solved, this was a good start. And most importantly, this quicksand pit was a sign that Fang Yuan chose the right direction. And something that boosted Fang Yuan's morale was that Unravel Dream was not useless here, it had some specific uses in Thieving Heaven's dream realm. Fang Yuan continued past the quicksand pit and moved forward, not long after, he saw a small oasis. There was a well in the oasis, even though there were some wild beasts guarding it, and the leader of the beasts even had a mortal GU. Fang Yuan was energized, he used the 5 cool wind GU to fight this group of beasts. Eventually, using the terrain and his schemes, he killed the beast group, and also subdued the wild GU worm on the leader's body. This was a poison path GU worm resembling a scorpion. The battle was decided, Fang Yuan quickly came to the well, but to his disappointment, it had dried up. But that was not an issue, the beast corpses here were precious provisions. Fang Yuan drank the beast blood and ate some meat to fill his stomach. Next, he collected the stomachs of some beasts and collected all of their blood, he also pulled apart some meat and used the beast intestines to tie them onto his body. By now, the dream realm was already at night time, the desert temperature was getting low. Fang Yuan had a plan, he was not rushed or anxious. He held the beast skins and bones that he had and came to the dried well, creating a structure with the bones and placing the skin above them. These beast skins still had some fat layers on them, they were quite heat-retaining. After his arrangements, Fang Yuan entered the empty hole and carefully explored the well. He placed his feet on the sides of the well, preventing his body from falling down, he pulled on the beast skin and completely covered the hole on top. Next, he slowly got down to the bottom of the well. When he got to the bottom of the well, Fang Yuan wanted to survive a night in here, but he had a new discovery. It turned out that there was a small hole at the bottom of the well, and there was quite the thing there. Looking at the edge of the hole, it was man-made. Fang Yuan's heart shook, he quickly entered this hole by controlling young Thieving Heaven's body. Following this hole, after 50 to 60 steps, Fang Yuan came to a small underground space that was the size of a room. This place was quite simple, but there was a bowl made from soil, and there was a spring, it was tiny, but clear water was accumulated there. There was also a dried corpse on the ground. Don't tell me that this is Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable's true fortuitous encounter in his early days. Fang Yuan was intrigued. Chapter 1493, Mysterious Sheepskin Map. Inspecting it carefully, Fang Yuan did not find any traps. He slowly got closer to the dried corpse, when he was 5 or 6 steps away from it, a change occurred. Fang Yuan cursed internally because he had lost control of young Thieving Heaven once more, he became a spectator again. The young Thieving Heaven muttered. This person died in the well, was he trapped by the wild beasts and could not escape? Next, he came to the corpse, he lowered his head in respect before searching the corpse. No unexpected mishaps occurred, it was an ordinary corpse, there were no harmful traps. While searching it, young Thieving Heaven found that this corpse was a GU master during his life, his rank was not low, he seemed to have a high status. He had no GU worms left, but within the clothes that he wore, there was a sheepskin map. Young Thieving Heaven did not gain anything but the sheepskin map. In this underground hole, light was quite dim, young Thieving Heaven only saw that the map had lines, but they were not clear. He stored the map carefully and searched the area again, but he had no discoveries. But young thieving heaven was very satisfied. Because there was a precious water source here. He was quite careful. He first checked the water quality and slowly drank a little of it after finding no problems with it. This water source was deep underground. The corpse had spent a lot of effort to create it. Young thieving heaven drank a mouthful of water. He felt a cold refreshing flow as the taste of blood in his mouth from consuming beast blood faded by a lot. Young thieving heavens gulped. This mouthful of water drew out his inner desire. He lowered his body and buried his face in the spring. Gulp, gulp. After drinking several mouthfuls, he raised his head as water splattered everywhere. He sat on the ground with a thud. Young thieving heaven did not speak. His hands were supporting the ground. His eyes were shut. After a while, he sighed deeply. After resting for a while, he stretched out his hand, wiping the water from his face as he stood up, returning to the bottom of the well. Young thieving heaven shuddered. The bottom of the well was much colder than the underground hole. But young thieving heaven had his reasons to come here. He looked up at the well. Even though there were several beast skins as cover, the night winds were very strong. One beast skin had been blown away already. A gaping hole was created. From the hole, young thieving heaven could see those stars shining high up in the night sky. He sighed as he took some beast skin and wood, quickly creating a fireplace. Next, he tried to start a fire by using friction on the wood, succeeding after several minutes. The flame was not large. The smoke flew out of the well while the heat was retained, allowing young thieving heaven to stay warm. Young thieving heaven first cooked some meat, before eating them when they were cooked. After eating cooked food and filling his stomach, he felt very drowsy. But young thieving heaven controlled his sleepiness and used the dim light to observe the sheepskin map that he had gotten. This sheepskin map must have existed for a very long time. Isn't it pointing out my clan's oasis? Young thieving heaven was shocked. The small oasis was the focus of this sheepskin map. There were even several western desert words on it. The words were tiny and due to the effects of time, most of them were blurry already. Only the first few words and some characters were still clear. Young thieving heaven could barely decipher them. He said uncertainly, "Land of buried immortal inauspicious curse." Strange. After a long time of observation, he could not excavate more clues. He frowned tightly. "I've been in this world for over a decade. I've heard about stories of immortals from the clan elders. But these are just legends. Are there really immortals in this world? This might not be impossible. Looking at GU masters, I can see the peculiarity and mystery behind this world. Anything is possible. Land of buried immortal, don't tell me that the place where I live has an immortal buried there. But why curse? And inauspicious? This sheepskin map is really strange. This world has information path GU worms to store maps and information. That corpse must have been a strong GU master back then. Why did he use the sheepskin map instead of GU worms? This sheepskin map was sewn into the inner layer of his clothes. If his clothes were not torn, I would not have found it. He hid it so carefully. It must be very important, but this is too risky. It is far safer to store it inside an information path GU worm. Young thieving heaven muttered, his eyes flickering with deep thoughts. Fang Yuan was watching by the side. He had thought of young thieving heaven's questions long ago. They were all suspicious, especially the sheepskin map. Forget about this now. This sheepskin map also points out the location of the well. If I follow it, I will be able to return to the clan. Even though young thieving heaven had no sense of belonging to the clan, he knew that it was impossible to live alone in the desert. Not only was it dangerous, nobody could tell where threats could come from, and in terms of food, young thieving heaven had a very limited amount of meat now. This small oasis was too weak. His eyes felt very heavy. Young thieving heaven's vision soon blurred as he fell into deep sleep. He was simply too tired, not just physically, but also the mental exhaustion of all that had happened. Once he slept, Fang Yuan's vision went black. In the darkness, Fang Yuan felt that the corrosion of the dream realm became several times stronger. His soul was rapidly expended. Thankfully, Fang Yuan had experienced this before. He endured it until the darkness faded. The time in the dream realm was hard to estimate. When the darkness faded, his soul foundation had been shaved by half. When his vision cleared, Fang Yuan was shocked to find out that young thieving heaven was tied up at the bottom of the well. And in front of him was an elderly GU master with a grim expression. This elderly GU master had a wrinkled face. His hair was fully white. He was very old. Right now, his crooked hands were holding onto a sheepskin map. He used his hands to caress this sheepskin map as he showed heated and greedy emotions in his eyes. His expressions made young thieving heaven shudder. He might have met a lunatic. "Who are you? Why did you tie me up?" young thieving heaven asked. He felt very aggrieved. He woke up tied and was now a captive. You should be glad that I, Sha Xiao, have not killed you yet. The old man spoke with a hoarse voice. He carefully placed the sheepskin map into his pocket as he looked at young Thieving Heaven. Lad, you are a member of this clan. Young Thieving Heaven did not answer. Because he understood that the elderly GU master understood the secret and value of this sheepskin map, he did not kill him but tied him up instead because he wanted to make use of him. The elderly GU master saw that young Thieving Heaven was staying silent. His expression became darker as he floated towards young Thieving Heaven like a phantom. Lad, don't think that I do not know what you are thinking if you stay silent. Hey, you have probably never heard of my name, I will teach you a lesson first. The elderly GU master laughed sinisterly as he kicked with his leg. His leg landed on young Thieving Heaven's chest as the intense pain almost made him fall unconscious. Young Thieving Heaven was sent flying like a rock. He crashed onto the wall of the well and fell to the ground. But the pain had just begun. Young Thieving Heaven started to scream. Because the elderly GU master's kick was not so simple, young Thieving Heaven felt his entire body going numb. At the same time, his muscles and organs felt like they were pricked by countless icy needles. The intense pain made young Thieving Heaven suffer immensely. Soon, he was covered in snot and tears as he curled up like a cooked prawn. Lad, do you know how powerful I am now? The elderly GU master smiled sinisterly. He was very happy. Young Thieving Heaven's screams and cries made him feel a deep sense of satisfaction. Chapter 1494, Old Grandpa. The louder young Thieving Heaven screamed, the brighter the elderly GU master's smile. But soon, young Thieving Heaven realized this and gritted his teeth, not uttering a sound. Brat, you still want to resist? The elderly GU master was furious and stomped young Thieving Heaven's chest. Crack! Young Thieving Heaven's ribs immediately fractured into pieces which then pierced into his heart and lungs, immediately causing him to be on the verge of death. But he still did not utter a sound. He had almost crushed his teeth with his intense grinding, and his eyes were opened wide with anger, but he did not scream. He. The elderly GU master started laughing from anger, and directly used GU master methods against young Thieving Heaven. This time, it was not as simple as a sharp pain. Young Thieving Heaven felt a kind of numbing pain with all kinds of sensation attacking him in turns. He could endure it no longer. He let out a piercing scream and started struggling fiercely. He rolled on the floor while crazily scratching his skin. The elderly GU master laughed heartily. Suffered enough. Actually daring to defy the great Sha Xiao, HMPH, even if you have strong pride, you will still have to kneel before me. Beg for mercy, as long as you call me Grandpa Sha, Grandpa will forgive you, grandson, ahahaha. But young Thieving Heaven's heart was filled with nothing but fury. Sha Xiao's words triggered his pride. He inwardly vowed that even if he died from the itch, died from pain, died by rotting, or died from numbness, he would not beg for mercy. Sha Xiao waited for a while. Young Thieving Heaven was still rolling on the ground, tearing his clothes and skin, crying out in deep pain, but he did not beg for mercy. Until young Thieving Heaven could not endure any more, a fierce light flashed past his eyes as he smashed headfirst into the wall of the well. He actually wants to die. Sha Xiao was surprised, quickly moving to stop this. Young Thieving Heaven's strength was useless. He could only let Sha Xiao manipulate him. Sha Xiao not only saved him, but also healed him. Soon, his heavy injuries had turned into light injuries. Kid, you have quite the backbone, even I am feeling some admiration. Sha Xiao changed his tone, green light flickering in his eyes. He looked at the powerless young Thieving Heaven lying on the ground, and said with a soft and slow voice, but if you die, what will your family do? I won't feel distressed about it, but what about your parents? What about your siblings? Do you have a girl you love? Does she know your feelings? If you die, what about her? Young Thieving Heaven's expression began to change. He had lived for over 10 years in this world, yet he had a wanderer's mentality without any restraints. However, in his original world, he had a family, healthy parents, and a beloved fiancé. I cannot die. I need to live on. I need to find a way to leave this world and return home. There are people waiting for me there. Sha Xiao was an old schemer, the corners of his lips curling up slightly as he saw the change in young Thieving Heaven's expression. Young Thieving Heaven fearlessly gazed at Sha Xiao. You have not killed me because you want to make use of me. Speak, what do you want me to do? Sha Xiao laughed heartily, giving a thumbs up to young Thieving Heaven. Kid, you have guts, you actually dare to speak to me like that. The moment he finished speaking, Sha Xiao's expression changed. His laughter was gone without a trace, replacing it was twisted fury. He ruthlessly kicked young Thieving Heaven's face, and sent him flying. He then pointed with his finger, a strange light shot out and struck young thieving heaven's body. Chi chi chi. A series of soft sounds echoed within this old well. Young thieving heaven's expression rapidly changed as he felt intense pain all over his body. He tried to stand up but due to a lack of energy, he could only sit on the ground. His face was bloody, his nose bridge had been smashed by Sha Xiao's kick. Young thieving heaven started blacking out and almost fainted from the pain. With his remaining consciousness, he squinted at his hand but immediately received a huge shock. He saw his hand was festering and corroding like it had touched powerful acid. Not just the hands, his face, his arms, his neck, his whole body was starting to rot. Soon, young thieving heaven's eyes also started to corrode, losing his sight. Sha Xiao's sinister voice floated to his ears, "You think I need you? He, it is your fortune to be used by me. You dare show me such an attitude, so what if you die? At worst, I will just find another puppet. Ha ha ha. Now, this is your final chance. I shall give you one final opportunity. If you don't want to die, kowtow to me and call me grandpa, obediently follow my orders. Take your time, you have been struck by my killer move anyway, your whole body will continue to rot, in a dozen or so breaths, your whole body will rot completely and only your skeleton will remain. I will give you a few kicks then and see how hard your backbone really is." Young thieving heaven was silent. Sha Xiao did not speak anymore after this, only looking at young thieving heaven with his sinister gaze. Young thieving heaven was slumped on the ground, motionless like a statue. The muscles on his whole body were beginning to rot, the stench of it had already filled the well. The terrifying injuries, intense pain, and more importantly the entanglements in his heart, caused his face to distort. I, the great Ben Jia's son, a noble army general, how could I beg for mercy? But if I die here, do I let my loved ones in the other world wait in vain? Sigh. Young thieving heaven let out a heavy sigh inwardly. He slowly adjusted his posture and knelt down, then he lowered his head till his forehead touched the ground. He spoke with a weak and rough voice, "You win." Ha ha ha. Sha Xiao laughed wildly, his eyes opened wide as he stared at young thieving heaven. "Then what should you call me?" Grandpa. Young thieving heaven gritted his teeth, his whole body shook and hot tears rolled down from his corroded eyes. He, my good grandson. Sha Xiao was satisfied, his voice turned sharp like a crow's cry high above the graveyard. Young thieving heaven reached his limits and completely fell unconscious. Darkness descended upon Fang Yuan once again, and the dream realm fiercely corroded his soul. Fang Yuan passed this period with difficulty, his 10 million man soul had already fallen to million man soul. Exploring this dream realm of thieving heaven had an extremely high demand on soul foundation. Were it not for Fang Yuan cultivating his soul painstakingly before, he would not have the qualifications to explore this dream realm. With the passing of time, the darkness disappeared, Fang Yuan could see once again. The blazing sun was high in the sky, young thieving heaven was moving across the desert while dragging his extremely weak body. Those terrifying injuries on him were all gone without a trace. But there were several new injuries which looked like lacerations inflicted by fangs and claws of wild beasts. Kid, listen properly, when you return to the clan, probe the situation for your grandpa. Wait, grandpa will bring a few desert wolves to you, if you are going to put on a show, you should go all the way. Grandpa will not help you, if you can't escape the wolves, you can only blame yourself. Oh, remember not to speak carelessly. Grandpa's killer move is in your body, you have already tasted the feeling of a rotting body. As long as I will it, your internal organs and your brain will immediately rot, be obedient, grandpa won't mistreat you, my good grandson. Sha Xiao's figure was nowhere to be seen, but young thieving heaven's ears were resonating with his voice. The moment his words finished, several desert wolves rushed out from a sand dune. These desert wolves had short and thin fur, they were pale brown and not that big but were extremely ferocious. They howled to signal the attack as they rushed towards young thieving heaven. Young thieving heaven did not budge as he looked at the distance between him and the desert wolves shrinking rapidly. Fang Yuan was baffled before suddenly reacting, he cursed inwardly while quickly attempting to control young thieving heaven. Just like he expected, he had once again gained control of this body. Fang Yuan quickly ran while looking into his aperture to see if there were any GU worms that he could use to fight. A sandpit GU, a chimney smoke GU, and a clear water GU. There was only over 10% of green copper primeval essence left. Those cool wind GU and other GU he had gathered after painstaking efforts were all gone. Looks like Sha Xiao did not want to expose that small oasis in the well, so he destroyed all the relevant clues on thieving heaven. Damn it, clear water GU is of no use here. Only sandpit GU and chimney smoke GU can be relied upon. Just as Fang Yuan thought of this, he suddenly felt wind at the back of his head. Without even thinking, he leapt to the left. At the next moment, a desert wolf had pounced on Fang Yuan's previous location. It fell unstably to the ground, rolling some distance away. Fang Yuan almost fell to the ground. If he fell down, those rushing desert wolves would definitely pounce at him and give him no chance to get up. At the crucial moment, Fang Yuan propped his arms up on the sand and exerted strength on them to forcibly push his weak body forward. He barely maintained his balance and continued to run. Not even a few steps later, another desert wolf had caught up to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan quickly activated Sandpit GU. This rank 1 GU expended 5% of his green copper primeval essence, instantly forming a pit in the desert. The second desert wolf had just been about to exert strength on its legs to pounce at Fang Yuan's back, but a sandpit appeared out of nowhere as it stepped into it. Because it had exerted too much strength, this desert wolf lost its balance and fell face flat on the ground. But the third desert wolf quickly rushed over and had already leapt to the air. This desert wolf was extremely cunning. It had wild GU on it which caused its movement to be without any sound. Fang Yuan simply didn't have time to look back, but he saw the shadow on the desert's surface ahead. The third desert wolf's shadow was pouncing at his shadow's head. Fang Yuan gritted his teeth. There was no use in activating GU worms at this moment and he also had no time to dodge. However, his rich battle experience helped him make the most sensible choice at this moment. Evading the worst. Although he could not dodge properly, he had to evade the worst. Fang Yuan intentionally inched his right shoulder to the wolf. Puff! The third desert wolf pounced at Fang Yuan, its sharp claws piercing through Fang Yuan's right shoulder and cutting out few pieces of flesh. But Fang Yuan did not stop at all, he continued to run madly. By this time, the first and second desert wolves had already regained their footing and caught up. At this critical juncture, Fang Yuan put all his primeval essence in chimney smoke GU. This GU worm was originally used to smoke food, but right now, it was being used by Fang Yuan to cope with this emergency and it furthermore produced a brilliant effect. The dense smoke obstructed the three desert wolves' eyes and noses as Fang Yuan took this chance to pull apart some distance from the wolves. But this was only a dying struggle. The three desert wolves soon broke through the smoke and caught up to Fang Yuan. Am I going to fail? This difficulty is too high. Fang Yuan was already at his wit's end, but right at this time, an electric chain brushed past Fang Yuan's cheek and struck the three desert wolves, instantly roasting them. The clansmen. Fang Yuan was joyous as he recognized who had arrived. But young thieving heaven was already at his physical limits, fainting once again. The expected darkness did not appear. Fang Yuan surprisingly discovered his soul was floating in the air, out of the dream realm. More accurately, this scene of thieving heaven's dream realm that had shrouded his soul had already disappeared. So it's like this, I successfully explored the first stage of the dream realm. Fang Yuan was stumped before quickly realizing. Amazing, my theft path attainment has directly soared to Grandmaster level. Fang Yuan was overjoyed. Although his soul foundation had greatly reduced, the harvest was similarly huge. Indeed worthy of being thieving heaven's dream realm, just passing the first stage raised Fang Yuan's theft path to Grandmaster level. How terrifying would it be if he continued the exploration? Chapter 1495, Resting. Inside the Immortal GU formation, Fang Yuan was sitting cross-legged with closed eyes, cultivating quietly. He Lu Lan and the rest along with Tang Fang Ming were in control of this Immortal formation. Fang Yuan was calculating his gains and losses. The gains from exploring thieving heaven's dream realm were huge. Not only did I test heaven's will dissipation and obtained a satisfactory result, my theft path attainment has soared to Grandmaster level. But, I had to pay a huge price for this. My 10 million man soul has now fallen to million man soul, the loss is great. I had thought I would use Unravel Dream frequently, but who could have expected Unravel Dream to not provide me much help in this dream realm? From this dream realm exploration, Fang Yuan realized one point. He might have Unravel Dream, but this method was not all-powerful. Unravel Dream was used very few times, so my immortal essence expenditure is little, but my Guts GU expenditure has instead increased enormously. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan slowly opened his eyes and took out Guts GU, using them on the spot. So many Guts GU. Tang Fang Ming's eyes opened wide, revealing clear envy and desire. He had also explored the dream realm many times, knowing the outstanding advantage of Guts GU. He was barely able to purchase some Guts GU as supply was lower than demand, but now he was looking at Fang Yuan using Guts GU as casually as eating candy. Oh, he is the soul guts GU seller after all. Tang Fangming lamented inwardly. At the same time, his gaze landed on Thieving Heaven's dream realm. Thieving Heaven's dream realm was enormous like a mountain and was still letting out eerie blue radiance, but right now, a large piece of the base of this mountain had disappeared. This was the result of Fang Yuan successfully passing through the first stage. Tang Fangming heaved a sigh. He had already explored and researched this dream realm of Thieving Heaven for hundreds of times, maybe even 1,000 times, but his accumulated achievements were not even a fraction of Fang Yuan's one exploration. Tang Fangming was recognized in Tang Clan as a pioneer of exploring dream realms. He had a lot of accomplishments, creating many dream realm mortal GU. But compared to Fang Yuan's achievements, he paled in comparison. Tang Fangming felt ashamed, but beyond that, he felt even more admiration towards Fang Yuan. After a moment of stillness, Fang Yuan suddenly opened his eyes. A sharp light flashed past his dark eyes. By using Guts GU without regarding the expenditure, Fang Yuan's soul foundation once again rose to 10 million man soul. He previously had 9 million man soul, but with the corrosion from this dream realm, his soul quality had risen once again and gave a slight feeling of being even more condensed. Looks like the dream realm's corrosion of the soul has some supplementary effect in soul cultivation. But if it is examined carefully, the effect is not high, and is far inferior to Luopo Valley. Danghun Mountain and Luopo Valley were the two sacred lands of soul cultivation proclaimed by spectral soul demon Venerable. They were not resources that ordinary things could replace. But it did not matter. Fang Yuan had brought Luopo Valley with him in this trip to Western Desert. Before he made this trip from Eastern Sea to Western Desert, he had considered everything properly. With his astute nature, how could he not make ample preparations? As for Danghun Mountain, there is treasure yellow heaven to transport Guts GU, it is the same whether I bring it or not. Actually, it was not that Fang Yuan did not want to bring it. But it had a huge demand on heaven and earth chi in the immortal aperture. Currently, his sovereign immortal aperture had reverse flow river, Luopo Valley, and city well. Every 3 days, he had to devour large amounts of external heaven and earth chi to replenish his expenditure. If they were not replenished in time, the sovereign immortal aperture's foundation would weaken, causing a reduction in resource production, including time and space aspects. In severe cases, it might even cause sovereign immortal aperture to crumble. The difficulty in exploring Thieving Heaven's dream realm is too high. The first stage is already so troubling, the second stage will definitely be even more difficult. With this comprehension, Fang Yuan decided to first increase his soul foundation by another level before he continued exploring the dream realm. As such, over the next period of time, he quietly concentrated on cultivating soul path. Because of the continuous supply of Guts GU, Fang Yuan's soul foundation rose rapidly. Just as Fang Yuan was cultivating soul path in preparation for exploring the second stage, in Eastern Sea, Qingyu Ji Cheng was meeting Qingyu clan's first supreme elder to request for help. Ji Cheng, looks like you are really determined to take the risk for Qin Baihe. The old first supreme elder looked at this descendant who he was rather fond of and said with a sigh. Yes, I have made up my mind. I hope first supreme elder can help me. Qingyu Ji Cheng said firmly. But first supreme elder slowly shook his head. It is not yet the time for me to be involved in this matter. Moreover, the truth is not out yet. Even if I make a move, I won't be able to give you much help. Qingyu Ji Cheng felt strange. How could First Supreme Elder, a Grand Rank 8 GU Immortal, be unable to give much help in this matter? But First Supreme Elder told him of something which immediately made him understand. Junior thanks First Supreme Elder for the guidance. I shall now go ask for help. Qingyu Ji Cheng was joyous. Go, go, First Supreme Elder chuckled, waving his hand. Qingyu Ji Cheng immediately flew out of the clan's headquarters and moved towards Nangong clan's territory. Qingyu clan's first supreme elder had told him that whether Qin Baihe and Yu Chan were alive or not was unclear at this moment. What situation they encountered was also unclear, so what he should do was to find a wisdom path GU immortal to help investigate the truth. Only by knowing what happened to these two female immortals could they find the culprit and take revenge. And the wisdom path GU immortal who was most suitable for this was none other than one of the three current wisdom path experts, the one hiding in Nangong, wisdom path GU immortal Wan. This person had a close relationship with Yu Chan. If Yu Chan was in trouble, he would definitely help. Qingyu Ji Cheng felt First Supreme Elder's analysis was correct. He immediately moved to request help from Wan. But midway, he came across a rank 6 GU immortal of Nangong clan. This GU immortal brought a message from Wan. Young Master Ji Cheng, Lord Wan already deduced that you would look for him, so he sent me to welcome you. He is waiting just ahead. Qing Yuji Cheng was overjoyed while also sighing in admiration of Hua An's ability. After a while, the two met. Hua An spoke. I will be honest with you, Fairy Yu Chan came to request my help not long ago, but unfortunately I was unable to be of help. Hua An and Qing Yuji Cheng exchanged information, and naturally, their first suspect was Fang Yuan. Because with Yu Chan's death, Fang Yuan, who was in the dragonfish business, would benefit the most. Unfortunately, they did not have Heavenly Court's guidance, and only knew that mysterious Gu Immortal who was selling dragonfish in Treasure Yellow Heaven was the most suspicious and had motive as well, but they did not know this person was Fang Yuan. I have been continuously deducing the past few days, I am afraid Yu Chan and Qin Baihe's situation is less than optimistic. Hua An said with a heavy expression. This time, I am going to request help from the other two wisdom path experts, we will combine our strength and attempt to deduce the culprit. Qing Yuji Cheng however shook his head at Hua An's words. No, I believe the two fairies are still alive, they are not dead. Lord Hua An, please think carefully, the two fairies are rank 7 experts, who could easily kill them. Hua An understood Qing Yuji Cheng's feelings and mood, nodding consolingly, your words are also reasonable. He then changed the topic and said, I have a plan, we might as well spread news about the deaths of the two fairies. If they are still alive, they will definitely know we are looking for them and want to help them. If they are being hunted by the culprit, once these rumors spread, the culprit will be confused and will turn his attention towards us. Great plan, Qing Yuji Cheng clapped his hands and praised. Time passed, soon, half a month went by. Fang Yuan's soul foundation had increased to 90 million man soul, only a slight distance away from 100 million man soul. In this period of time, he did not practice any immortal killer moves, instead spending his energy and time mainly in soul path cultivation. With this, his progress was naturally much higher than before. Although Guts Gu were being constantly expended, causing him to lose huge profits and also wasting his capital, Fang Yuan's financial situation was instead slowly turning better. The reason for this was the dragonfish business. Fang Yuan killed Yu Chan and Qin Baihe. Even if Heavenly Court wanted to stop his progress, they were powerless to do so for some time. In Treasure Yellow Heaven's market, Fang Yuan was now the #1 overlord in terms of dragonfish business, no one could rival him. Thus, his dragonfish business was becoming increasingly bustling, especially the silver dragonfish which spurred crazed sales, the individual price was increasing at an alarming rate. The noteworthy thing is that news of Yu Chan's and Qin Baihe's deaths has already spread in Eastern Sea, looks like someone is plotting from the shadows. Forget about it, the important thing now is thieving Heaven's dream realm. With 90 million man soul, Fang Yuan was very confident. After resting for one more day, he entered the dream realm again to explore the second stage of thieving Heaven's confusing dream realm. Chapter 1496, Blurred Gray Eyes. After he was done resting and making sufficient preparation, Fang Yuan entered thieving Heaven's dream realm. There was the clamoring of people around the pool where a market gathering was being held. Western Desert actually had a lot of resources, more than Northern Plains. There were large amounts of resources hidden in the desert, including Gu worms and wild beasts. They only had scarce amounts of plants, which was their biggest shortcoming. So this market mainly sold food products like milk and wine, Gu materials like beast skins, bones, and only 3 stalls were selling Gu worms. Young Thieving Heaven was roaming around in the crowd. He observed the transactions in the surrounding while moving closer to the pool at the center of the clan. Stop, unauthorized people are not allowed entry here. Kid, get lost. When Young Thieving Heaven got near to the pool, 2 guards guarding the area immediately responded and stopped him. Young Thieving Heaven could do nothing other than to pretend to have received a shock and leave. He sighed inwardly. That pool is the only water source in the oasis, it is strictly guarded, and even though they opened a market gathering, the guards are quite alert, I simply cannot get in. At the same time, Sha Xiao's sinister voice resounded in his mind. HMPH, think of whatever ways you can to get in. Don't forget, there is only a month or so left from our agreed time limit. If by then, you have not made any progress, that will be the time of your death. Young Thieving Heaven's pupils shrunk as he replied inwardly, aren't you powerful? Why don't you directly charge in or sneak in? Why let a weak guy like me gather information? HMPH, you want to goad me? How could I fall for your plan? Moreover, you don't understand anything. Hey, I also don't have the patience to explain to you. Grandson, quick, do as Grandpa says, talk less and do more work, then you can live a bit longer. Young Thieving Heaven could only let himself be manipulated. The enemy was strong while he was weak. He did not speak anymore, except that sharp light flickered in his eyes. Previously in the well, to survive and for the hope of returning to his home, he was forced to give in to Sha Xiao. But inwardly, he had never accepted this fate. I know when to yield and when not to. There will be a day when I will find a chance to not only escape the shackles of this old demon Sha Xiao, but also reciprocate all my sufferings. But right now, I need to endure, I need to put on a show and wait for my chance. Over the next few days, young Thieving Heaven thought of every way possible and exhausted all his strength to gather intel and try to get near the oasis pool. But all his attempts failed. The pool was the most important area in the clan, it was guarded extremely tightly. Young Thieving Heaven had only just advanced to rank 1, his means were truly lacking. Just as he was unable to find a way, news spread among his peers. What? Half a month later, the clan is holding a small-scale competition, and the winner can choose a GU worm from the pool as a reward. Young Thieving Heaven also heard of this news. He immediately realized his opportunity was here. Moreover, this was probably the best opportunity for him to complete Sha Xiao's task. I need to participate in this small competition and also obtain victory. Young Thieving Heaven said to Sha Xiao in his mind. Sha Xiao snickered. Silly kid, don't think I don't know what plot you are scheming inside. You want to use this to raise your strength to overturn my control. Young Thieving Heaven sneered, admitting frankly, so what? Who doesn't thirst for freedom? Good. Sha Xiao was unfazed, instead praising. You are quite straightforward, haha, if you call me grandpa, I can help you seize this victory. You, Young Thieving Heaven stiffened, his eyes revealing anger. What, you don't want to? Think properly, without my help, with your strength and aptitude, how can you win this competition? Sha Xiao sneered. Young Thieving Heaven's expression darkened. I was born as a noble, my life was filled with glory, but I have to bend my back and beg for mercy. This is a humiliation to my ancestry, I am ruining the reputation of my Sun clan. But, if I don't do this, I truly won't have any hope. I am too weak, returning home is an uncertainty. If I can't even get through this juncture, there is no need to talk about the future. Damn it, Young Thieving Heaven clenched his fists, falling into extreme hesitation. Although he had called Sha Xiao, Grandpa, before, that was during the moment of life and death. Right now, he and Sha Xiao were separated, and there was also not much external pressure which made Young Thieving Heaven waver, the choice became extremely heavy and painful. Grandpa, finally, he chose to yield, squeezing out this word through clenched teeth. Ha ha ha, Sha Xiao's crazed laughter filled Young Thieving Heaven's mind. My good grandson, since you called me Grandpa, Grandpa won't let you fail. Grandpa is giving you this method to succeed, accept it and turn it to your strength, you shall definitely win this competition. Right as Sha Xiao finished speaking, a huge amount of information charged into Young Thieving Heaven's brain. Young Thieving Heaven immediately gave a low gasp, his expression distorted and he subconsciously held his head. The huge amount of information continued to strike his brain, he felt so much pain that his head felt like it would burst. The information attack only lasted for a short 9 breaths of time, but Young Thieving Heaven felt like a year had passed. He endured it with difficulty, his whole body was covered in sweat, his face was deathly pale like paper, and he was shaking, looking extremely miserable. Sha Xiao's method was violent, but the transferred information were all authentic and of great value. Most of the contents were about fighting techniques, they were exquisite and concise. A portion was about GU recipes and usage method of GU worms, and there was even a killer move. Mortal killer move, blurred gray eyes. This move was formed by using sandpit GU, chimney smoke GU, and clear water GU. There were 8 steps to it, and once it was activated successfully, it could puff out white smoke. When this smoke landed in someone's eyes, it would cover their eyes in white ash, making them lose their sight. The person who was struck absolutely should not use water to clean their eyes. If water was used, the white ash would produce high heat that would burn the target's eyes and make them go blind. This move is so insidious, it is not my style. Young Thieving Heaven's heart sank, he did not look happy. Before his transmigration, he had been born in a noble family, receiving good education since childhood. He was upright and honest, he abhorred evil. Because of this, when he transmigrated and became a poor orphan, he still abided by rules and maintained his morals, even when he had an adult's wisdom and things were unsatisfactory. Blurred gray eyes needs 3 GU worms, and they just happen to be all the GU I have. Looks like Sha Xiao had already planned to increase my strength. HMPH. Young Thieving Heaven did not want to practice blurred gray eyes, he put his whole concentration in the fighting techniques. He had been a warrior in his previous life as well, although he did not specialize in close combat, he had some foundation. His true battle attainment was deep enough. Thus, he was able to smoothly progress with these fighting techniques. After a few days of practicing, young Thieving Heaven felt his battle strength had soared. This world's fighting techniques are not simple, but a complete set of moves involving GU worms. Different kind of moves for different kind of GU worms. I had no one to instruct me before, so I was too weak to do anything. Now that I have obtained this skill and have practiced it diligently, I have a 60% chance of winning the clan's competition. Even if I don't use blurred gray eyes, I can take care of most competitors. Young Thieving Heaven had an aversion to this unscrupulous move and did not want to use it. He was confident in himself, and soon welcomed the clan's small competition. When he first stepped on the stage, the audience did not think highly of him. There were even some who ridiculed him. And his opponent had an expression of arrogance as he pointed towards young Thieving Heaven's nose. So it is you, trash, surrender now and I won't break your leg. Young Thieving Heaven was dazed, standing on the spot without moving. The audience started laughing loudly. He is afraid, he can't even move. Look at him, how did he pass the clan's exile test? Probably luck. I heard that at the crucial moment, he was rescued from the wolves' mouths by the clan's GU master. Under this atmosphere, young Thieving Heaven's opponent seemed to be even more disdainful. But at the next moment, young Thieving Heaven clenched his fists, feeling the strength in his fingers. I finally have control again. Fang Yuan was inwardly happy. It turned out that young Thieving Heaven's dazed expression was because Fang Yuan had just gained control and had not reacted. Now that he came to his senses, he immediately attacked. Mortal killer move, blurred gray eyes. Whoosh, a large clump of white ash was puffed out at his opponent's face. The opponent could not defend in time, quickly retreating 3 steps before crying out, "Ah! I can't see anything, what is this thing? Get lost." Fang Yuan took a few large strides before giving a fierce kick to his opponent's face. His opponent was directly kicked out of the stage. Victory. Chapter 1497. Deep pain despite victory. Despicable, too despicable, he is actually sneak attacking. This guy is too nasty, he is truly hateful. According to both sides' strength, he was clearly slightly weaker. The surrounding people started denouncing young Thieving Heaven. You. That opponent climbed up from the ground, and stuttered due to anger while pointing towards the air, "You're shameless. If you have guts then let's compete again." However, his sight was blurry because of the killer move, and he did not know where Fang Yuan was at all, so his finger was pointing at a completely wrong direction, making for a hilarious situation. Fang Yuan sneered. "Winner takes all, what is there to compete about?" Fang Yuan could not speak anymore, because he once again turned into an observer, losing control over this body. Thieving Heaven's dream realm continued once more. Young Thieving Heaven gazed at the surrounding crowd and at the raving opponent below the stage, his face was pale and his whole body was shaking. He slowly raised his hands in shock. Why did I directly use that killer move, blurred gray eyes? I clearly have strength to compete with him fairly, then throw him off the stage. But why did I choose to sneak attack? Young Thieving Heaven abhorred actions like sneak attacking, he felt this was a shameful thing. Why did he sneak attack? He liked fighting openly, and would not resort to such insidious schemes. He did not like, or more accurately, he disdained this kind of action. But then why did he do so? Sha Xiao's mad laughter resounded in his mind. Ha ha ha. Too funny, too entertaining, my good grandson, you indeed resemble your grandpa me. You clearly had not trained blurred gray eyes killer move, but you were still able to use it so smoothly. The sneak attack timing was also quite good, clinching victory at once. Good, very good. Sha Xiao repeatedly praised. Young Thieving Heaven was stunned. That's right, he had not practiced this killer move, so why did he use it? And why was his usage so skillful? This is ridiculous. Young Thieving Heaven roared inwardly. Ha ha ha, my good grandson, let grandpa tell you the reason. You were originally such a person, your nature is like this, don't restrain yourself, let out your true nature. Sha Xiao laughed loudly, adding insult to the injury. Young Thieving Heaven was deeply shocked, but soon his eyes flashed brightly. No, this is not my doing. It is you, right, you controlled my body. Although I can do that, I did not do it. This was your own choice, you should be clear of it. No, it was definitely you, how could I do such a thing? Young Thieving Heaven clung to his own view. Bullshit, Sha Xiao scolded loudly, but Young Thieving Heaven's expression looked quite firm on the surface, as he walked off the stage while quarreling inwardly. However, in the audience's view, His behavior looked quite arrogant and seemed like he did not regard their criticisms, thus they started scolding even louder. It was the observer Fang Yuan's turn to feel shaken. He had been the one in control during the fight, but the outcome had directly influenced the following event of the dream realm. Young Thieving Heaven's shock and the change in the audience's attitude would no doubt influence the way the dream realm would play out and progress. This was a situation Fang Yuan had never encountered before while exploring dream realms. In his past explorations, although his participation rate was higher than in Thieving Heaven's dream realm, the dream realm as a whole did not change. The dream realm's outcome was set, and the passing standard was also fixed. But this dream realm of Thieving Heaven gives me a feeling of living through it. This is not ordinary. According to its categorization, this kind of dream realm was a realistic dream realm. It restored Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable's life experiences. But following Fang Yuan's continuous participation, this dream realm might deviate and change. As these deviations accumulated, would the final outcome of the dream realm be different from the original? Fang Yuan realized this and could not help but become more wary and cautious. Soon, it was his turn to battle again. You don't look like a vile person. But in the previous round, why did you use despicable methods to plot against my younger cousin? This time, Young Thieving Heaven's opponent was a girl who looked to be full of heroic spirit. Young Thieving Heaven frowned. He did not want to explain but still said, "There is a misunderstanding." "Hey, misunderstanding. HMPH, you clearly sneak attacked, you actually don't admit it. So many people witnessed it, this guy actually wants to deny it." The crowd, outside of the stage, shouted in fury. The young girl frowned. "I don't care whether it was a misunderstanding or not, I am going to avenge my cousin. So not only am I going to defeat you, I am going to make sure you suffer enough. Come." The young girl charged forward. "Wait a moment." Young Thieving Heaven suddenly held out his hands. "I still have something to say, hear me out before you make a move." "What is it? Speak up, I will make you admit your defeat completely." The young girl snorted, stopping her footsteps. But at this moment, Young Thieving Heaven's eyes suddenly shone sinisterly as he raised his hand. Mortal killer move, blurred gray eyes. The young girl had been on guard, but this white ash actually passed through her defensive methods and directly covered her eyes. Damn it, again, this kid is playing dirty again. Careful, he is coming, quickly defend yourself. The crowd started shouting with all their strength. But by now, Young Thieving Heaven had already neared the young girl and raised his right leg, about to kick this girl out. The young girl actually had good battle experiences, although she could not see, her ears were moving as she listened to the wind to determine his position. "I cannot see, if this match is dragged on, it will be unfavorable to me. I must finish this quickly." At this instant, the young girl made a wise choice. She gave a soft cry and instead of retreating, she directly punched at Young Thieving Heaven. Whoosh! The wind blew from the impact of her fist, moving Young Thieving Heaven's hair. This attack was fierce, it clearly used a GU worm and was not something that could be produced by just a mortal body. If Young Thieving Heaven had really kicked at the previous moment, he would not have been able to restrain his momentum right now, he would have been heavily injured by these two punches. But at this moment, Young Thieving Heaven was not himself, but was controlled by Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan's thoughts were sinister, he looked like he was about to kick the girl, but it was in fact just a feint. On one hand, he was probing the young girl, after all even if sight was blurred, there were other investigative methods, the GU world was not lacking in all kinds of fantastic methods. On the other hand, Fang Yuan was using the audience. These people's shouts and reminders were actually misleading the girl. The young girl's sight was blurred, and in the intense battle, she likely did not have time to think much and would subconsciously feel the surrounding people's reminders to be correct. After all, there were a lot of people in the audience while the young girl was alone. Humans had a herd mentality, when many people believed something was correct, the young girl would likely believe it to be true as well. Sure enough, like Fang Yuan expected, the young girl started punching and going on the offense. Fang Yuan scoffed, calmly pulling back his right leg and easily dodging, then he smoothly caught the young girl's hand and pulled her to the side. The young girl wanted to win immediately and had used too much strength, which was instead used by Fang Yuan to counterattack. Fang Yuan took this chance to strike the young girl's lower abdomen fiercely with his knee. Bam! A soft sound was heard, as the young girl was badly hurt. Her shut eyes opened in pain, her gorgeous fair face flushed red at that instant, and blue veins popped up on her forehead. She felt her large intestine and internal organs were tangled together, the pain almost causing her to stop breathing. But before she could experience this intense pain again, Fang Yuan landed a chop at the back of the young girl's neck. In an instant, the young girl lost her consciousness. Thud, she fell to the ground and did not move. Fang Yuan won. The surrounding crowd was silent for a moment before they erupted. Despicable, too despicable, he actually won like this is so shameless. He is too shameless, a pity that his opponent was so innocent, she clearly had higher strength but actually fell for his trick. The audience was furious and contemptuous towards young thieving heaven, while feeling pity and regret for the young girl. Their loud shouts could be heard without end for a while. What have I done? Was it me again? Fang Yuan was once again an observer, while young thieving heaven was once again stunned. Ha ha ha, it is you did it all. Sha Xiao laughed freely. I haven't done anything, you have understood it, right? The whole battle process was your own choice. No, this is not true. How could I be such a scumbag? Young thieving heaven closed his eyes from the agony, even his eyelids were slightly twitching. You are indeed a scumbag, but Grandpa appreciates that. You quickly and efficiently resolved the battle, victory was clean and fast. Your shamelessness and despicable nature is just like me back when I was young. Sha Xiao started laughing loudly once again. What the hell is going on? What's wrong with me? Young thieving heaven almost cried, all his glory and values accumulated from his previous life received a huge impact. I once heard a saying, some people possess innate battle talent. When they enter battle state, they would often have creative thoughts as well as keen intuition, all kinds of factors could let them dig out their deepest self, and make the most natural choice, striving for victory with all their strength. Young thieving heaven. Like this, young thieving heaven continued to win in the small competition. Every battle, Fang Yuan would replace young thieving heaven and take control of the whole battle. Although the opponents were vigilant, what kind of person was Fang Yuan? His battle experiences could be said to be as vast as the sea. These small fry opponents, even just a shift in their gaze would let Fang Yuan see through their schemes and thoughts. As far as Fang Yuan was concerned, these victories were without any difficulty. But to young thieving heaven, it was an extremely painful journey. Could it be that deep down inside, I am really such a person? In my previous life, because I was protected in a mecha, I did not receive enough stimulation. So in this world, now that I am personally fighting, my true nature has emerged. I have such a nature. I have shamed my clan, shamed my teacher's teachings, and shamed my family name. Chapter 1498. Desire to lose. Inside the dream realm. On the stage, Fang Yuan was controlling young thieving heaven, fighting a rather difficult battle. This time, his opponent was a tall and sturdy youngster. The youngster's hands were in a knife hand pose, and with each chop, his hands would let out a flash of lightning that shot towards Fang Yuan. This youngster was one of the most popular candidates to win the contest. If he were fighting an ordinary boy, they might already be struck by the lightning and piss themselves, losing the match immediately. But he was facing Fang Yuan. Young thieving heaven's methods were simply not enough to dodge the lightning attacks. But Fang Yuan's experienced eyes were paying close attention to every movement of his opponent. When his opponent raised his hand, Fang Yuan could deduce the direction of the attack by observing the change in his shoulder movement, the direction of his sight, and the center of his body weight. As a result, Fang Yuan was able to dodge every lightning attack, making strange dodging movements in others' eyes. Do you only know how to dodge? His opponent shouted impatiently. Hee hee, catch me if you can. Come, beat me. Fang Yuan mocked his opponent. Sure enough, the immature opponent got furious, charging towards Fang Yuan. Fight me if you have guts, you rascal. But Fang Yuan still kept on dodging. Even the audience could not endure this, as they hooted and criticized Fang Yuan's actions as cowardly. Someone even shouted, the strength difference is so big, just surrender. You despicable guy. However, Fang Yuan just kept on continuing his way like he had heard nothing. Although he was dodging, he was in fact controlling the tempo of the battle. His opponent did not have rich battle experience, after all, he was too young, and fell into Fang Yuan's rhythm without even being aware of it. The youngster fought for long, his primeval essence was mostly consumed as he gasped for breath from exhaustion. Nice, time to counterattack. Fang Yuan finally got the opportunity he was waiting for, and immediately went on the offensive. What? His opponent reacted too late, and was soon receiving a beating from Fang Yuan. But the youngster still had some primeval essence, he was able to resist with difficulty. Fang Yuan inwardly realized the situation was bad. Young thieving heaven's aptitude was too low, only having D-grade aptitude, so he had small primeval essence reserve. After this long, the amount of primeval essence Fang Yuan had was even lower than his opponent who had been fiercely attacking since the start. I must finish this quickly. At this thought, Fang Yuan immediately shouted, Come, you stupid kid, have a taste of my spit. He then opened his mouth, spitting out his phlegm directly at his opponent's face. His opponent's eyes immediately opened wide. If this landed on his face, it would be too disgusting. The youngster quickly dodged, but this was what Fang Yuan wanted. He wanted to force his opponent to dodge in this direction. Time to go down. Fang Yuan suddenly moved forward like a nimble cat and appeared in front of the opponent before he threw a powerful high kick. That youngster already brought up his arms like a shield to block Fang Yuan's kick. But Fang Yuan was too powerful and directly sent him flying out of the stage. Fang Yuan won. This kid actually won. How can this possibly happen? Disgusting, he actually spat. This is too uncouth. Right, even though he won, I also despise him. He doesn't even have a little demeanor, he is simply not qualified to be a GU master. The audience engaged in heated discussions. Sneers and criticisms gathered into sounds that entered Fang Yuan's ears wave after wave. Fang Yuan, however, had already lost control of the body, and it was the reappearance of the true Young Thieving Heaven. Young Thieving Heaven experienced this battle personally, victory had truly not been easy. After all, Young Thieving Heaven was alone, while his opponent had some background, probably having GU master parents, or at least one of them being a GU master. Those who could participate in this small competition were all youngsters who had just become GU masters. They had almost non-existent foundation and were only rank 1, so they could easily use external force to raise their battle strength. Thus, those born with golden spoons or silver spoons had more or less received support and guidance from their seniors who raised their battle strength. This was the reason Fang Yuan faced difficulty in the battle. There was also another reason. Fang Yuan's fighting style was already widely known, his opponents were very vigilant and would make meticulous preparations for the battle, making it hard for Fang Yuan to fight properly. How could I have spat? Young Thieving Heaven stood at the center of the stage, almost crying from shame. In the previous life, he had all along paid heavy attention to his bearing, he absolutely would not do an uncivilized thing like spitting everywhere. But in this battle, not only did he do it, but also did it so grandly and brazenly in front of so many people. What was Young Thieving Heaven supposed to feel now? How could I be this kind of person? Is this really me in the depths of my heart? Young Thieving Heaven fell into a profound self-doubt and denial. The audience was still ridiculing. This kid must be feeling thrilled, right? This kind of garbage is actually entering the top 8. HMPH, social morals are degrading day by day, this kind of person should be thrown out of the competition. But top 8 is the limit, I really don't want to see him continue to win. Young Thieving Heaven, he really wanted to clarify the situation and tell everyone that he was not that kind of person. But he could not say anything, because even he was shaken and doubting himself. His values and the sense of glory ingrained in him in his previous life were being struck time and again, right now, they were already distorted beyond recognition. This is good too, I also don't want to continue. With this win, I am now in top 8 and can enter the pool. Young Thieving Heaven was tired, mentally tired. He did not want to continue fighting any longer. Bu Fang Yuan had another thought on this. Top 8, top 4, top 2, and the winner, they are clearly structured and will obtain different rewards from the clan. Although this is a dream realm and not reality, if I help Young Thieving Heaven obtain a better ranking, I can no doubt obtain a better reward. And these rewards will probably continue on to the next events, making this dream realm's Young Thieving Heaven stronger. This dream realm of Thieving Heaven was extraordinary, it was very flexible and did not have a fixed endpoint. Thus, the stronger the Young Thieving Heaven got, the bigger his influence in the dream realm, and the more convenient Fang Yuan's exploration of this dream realm will be. Unravel Dream did not have good effect in exploring Thieving Heaven's dream realm, which was akin to handicapping Fang Yuan. So Fang Yuan wanted to increase the chances to raise his success in exploring the dream realm. This second stage is much lengthier than the first stage, I should attempt to fight for first place. This is also a test towards this dream realm. Fang Yuan pondered for a while and made up his mind. But although his idea was good, the opportunity and time to control Young Thieving Heaven were limited. Fang Yuan could only patiently wait for the opportunity. The dream realm continued. Young Thieving Heaven had obtained victory, but what he gained were a bad reputation and huge external pressure. Other youngsters were actively preparing for the competition, gathering information on their opponents, but Young Thieving Heaven was immersed in self-reflection. In fact, he was afraid to face himself, this self-doubt was tortuous. This caused Young Thieving Heaven to become thinner day by day, slowly becoming depressed. Sha Xiao's voice was transmitted. Grandson, you should refine GU. Without a new GU worm, it will be difficult for you to deal with your upcoming opponents, your chances of defeat will be higher. Refining mortal GU and refining immortal GU were two completely different concepts. Especially when refining a rank 1 GU worm, the success rate was rather high. I can't directly supply you with any physical materials, I cannot give you GU worms as well. You need to refine it yourself to deceive the others and not let them discover me. Sha Xiao added. When he finished speaking, he transferred a huge amount of information to young Thieving Heaven's brain. Young Thieving Heaven's expression, however, changed to agitation when he looked at the contents. No, this GU worm is too sinister, it actually needs me to kill an infant and use their soul as a GU material. I won't commit such an heinous act. Chapter 1499, Thieving Heaven's Bottom Line. Sha Xiao gave a GU recipe to young Thieving Heaven, but the latter's expression changed and refused to refine the GU. Sha Xiao's gloomy voice transmitted, "Grandson, you don't want to listen to Grandpa. Do you want to live or not?" Young Thieving Heaven, however, persisted, "Who doesn't want to live? But I have my bottom line. This GU recipe is too vicious, I refuse to follow it." Sha Xiao, didn't you want me to get near that pool? Now that I am in top 8, I have the qualifications to enter it, don't you think it is a pity if you kill me now? Ha ha ha, Sha Xiao laughed, yeah, it is a pity. The words had just landed when young Thieving Heaven's pupils shrunk rapidly as he felt an intense pain attacking his body. Pain, pain, pain. At that instant, he almost collapsed on the ground. But he endured with all his strength and rushed to a dark corner. He then leaned his back to the wall and endured with clenched teeth. Sha Xiao's voice once more transmitted, "You are just a small pawn, you really think you can talk terms with me after entering top 8? You think you have such a high value? HMPH, there are countless people who want to be my grandson. It is your honor to be able to call me grandpa, do you understand?" Sha Xiao paused before continuing, "Let me hear you call me grandpa." Young Thieving Heaven's face had a distorted expression, he clenched his fists so tightly that his nails had dug into his flesh. He was trembling and sweating all over, this was caused by the pain, but also by the sense of humiliation and fury which he could not vent. Grandpa, after a long while, young Thieving Heaven squeezed out this word. "Yes, my good grandson. Your voice is too soft, Grandpa is old and did not hear you clearly." Sha Xiao laughed sinisterly. Young Thieving Heaven immediately felt his pain lightening by a lot. Sha Xiao had reduced the effect of his method. Young Thieving Heaven's brows tensed as the resolve to die flashed past his eyes, but he then recalled his family and his beloved woman, he took a huge breath and called out, "Hello, Grandpa." Ha ha ha, as long as grandson is obedient, Grandpa will be satisfied. Sha Xiao's laughter was filled with smugness. "Now, Grandpa wants you to refine GU, can you do it?" "Cannot." Young Thieving Heaven's face was deathly pale from the pain, but he still persisted in his bottom line. "Scumbag." Sha Xiao was furious, intensifying his method. Young Thieving Heaven cried out and fell to the ground. Even after torturing him for a while, Sha Xiao felt a headache when he saw young Thieving Heaven refusing to compromise. "You brat, you have quite the sense of justice. A pity, I thought you were raw talent when I saw you fight so efficiently. I did not think you don't even understand the logic of, every man for himself. So what if you have to kill an infant? If they do not die, then you will die. If you die, then any wealth or desire will fade out of existence. Think carefully." Young Thieving Heaven was slumped to the ground, curled up like a shrimp, his whole body was soaked with sweat, and he had almost lost consciousness, he did not have any energy right now. But, the corners of his lips still rose slightly. "Sha Xiao, you can forget about it. I am different from you, I won't build my happiness and bliss on others' suffering." Laughable persistence. A lot of things in this world need to be fought for, if you don't fight or kill, how can you continue to live? What are you thinking in that head of yours? Sha Xiao's voice was icy and disdainful, just think of why you were banished by the clan. Hee, wasn't it because there were too little resources in the clan, and they felt raising you was a waste, so they used clan rules to openly try to kill you? Young Thieving Heaven's eyes shone brightly. I understand this logic now, but what others do is their issue. If I do it, then it would become my issue, and I won't do this. Ignorant, then let me send you to your death. Sha Xiao's fury had reached its limit, but just as he was about to attack, he suddenly paused. Ah, my poor son, how could you pass away like this? Young Thieving Heaven, who was slumped near the wall, suddenly heard a woman's cry from inside the house. Then, there was a clamor inside the house. Someone also started crying, and someone was furiously cursing the doctor for being incompetent. Young Thieving Heaven and Sha Xiao listened attentively before understanding the reason. It turned out the owners of this house had a baby, but the baby was congenitally deficient and was barely hanging on to life. The house lord spent a heavy price to invite a rank 3 GU master, but the GU master was also unable to save the baby who finally died today. Hee, kid, your luck seems to be pretty good. This baby is enough to refine GU, he has already died, you can collect his corpse and use it to refine the GU. Sha Xiao laughed, but it was filled with killing intent. If you don't agree, you can go die. At worst, I will just change to another pawn. Young Thieving Heaven was silent for a long while before replying, okay. HMPH, that's good. Sha Xiao did not speak anymore. Young Thieving Heaven rested for a good while before standing up with difficulty. Through this event, Young Thieving Heaven thoroughly realized Sha Xiao's nature was extremely forceful, he meant what he said and did not allow for any disobedience. To return to his home, Young Thieving Heaven decided to swallow this humiliation. According to the clan's common practice, the small competition would halt for a few days. Almost all the remaining competitors would remain in their house in this brief period, training and receiving guidance from their seniors. Over the next few days, Young Thieving Heaven began to gather the GU materials recorded in the GU recipe. Although the gathering process was filled with obstacles, he managed to find them all. After that baby's corpse was buried, Young Thieving Heaven dug it out in the middle of the night. There were 2 more days before the competition resumed. This night, in a remote hut, Young Thieving Heaven started refining GU. This GU recipe was already clear and concise, but Grandpa thought of your tiny primeval essence storage and added in many steps. Grandpa is so considerate, grandson, you need to succeed in this GU refinement. Sha Xiao's voice transmitted, he was going to guide Young Thieving Heaven throughout the whole process. The GU refinement officially began. Under Sha Xiao's guidance, Young Thieving Heaven followed the steps and began to process the GU materials one by one. Because it was his first time refining GU, Young Thieving Heaven's performance was extremely bad at the start, he repeatedly made mistakes even in the most simple procedure like using fire to process the materials. Were it not for Sha Xiao's timely guidance in correcting Young Thieving Heaven, this GU refinement would have already failed. Sha Xiao was hurling all kinds of abuse and anger. But as the GU refinement progressed, Sha Xiao's curses became fewer and fewer. So this is the talent of a demon venerable. Fang Yuan, who had been observing all along from the side, was also shaken. Young Thieving Heaven displayed an extremely powerful GU refinement talent, adapting very quickly, from the stumbling around at the beginning, to gaining his footing, and then becoming stable, and in the later stage of the GU refinement, he even looked to be at ease. There are final 4 steps remaining to refine this GU worm. Sha Xiao actually encouraged Young Thieving Heaven, my good grandson, do well, refine this GU worm and give your grandpa face in the competition. Young Thieving Heaven took a deep breath and gazed at the baby's corpse in front of him. A resolute light flashed past his eyes. Although this baby did not die by my hands, if I use it to refine GU, how can I bear it in my heart? Anyway, GU refinement can easily fail. If I fail here, Sha Xiao also won't blame it on me. Child, forgive me, even after death, you could not rest in peace. But I had no choice, this is all I can do. I hope your soul can ascend to heaven through this fire. If you can reincarnate, please don't return. This world is too cruel. While murmuring this inwardly, Young Thieving Heaven made a mistake, the fire immediately burned fiercely and engulfed the baby's corpse. The intensity of the fire is too high, lower it quick. Sha Xiao said in a startled tone. I am trying. Young Thieving Heaven pretended to panic, immediately controlling the fire, but the fire instead burned even hotter. Such audacity, you purposely failed, you are going against me. Sha Xiao's gaze turned furious as he realized Young Thieving Heaven's intention. Chapter 1500. Sneak Attack GU. No, Grandpa, you misunderstood me. I truly cannot control this fire's intensity. Young Thieving Heaven was still continuing with the act. He, you dare to deceive me, you are truly looking down on me. Alright, I won't take your life. Let this fire devour you as well. You think GU refinement is so simple and safe. You are seeking your own doom by intentionally failing the GU refinement. Die, this is the result of your persistence, this is your own doing. Sha Xiao snickered. Before he finished his words, that fire immediately soared and covered Young Thieving Heaven. Why did this happen? Young Thieving Heaven wanted to charge out, but the fire was emitting an enormous attractive force that kept him on the spot. Looking as he was about to be buried in the fire, Fang Yuan discovered he could control Young Thieving Heaven's body once again. Why do I feel like I am cleaning up young thieving heaven's mess? Fang Yuan felt frustrated. But he did not panic. Fang Yuan had already come across the GU recipe Sha Xiao had given to young thieving heaven. This was a rank 1 GU recipe, while Fang Yuan was a refinement path quasi-grand master, so the principles of the GU recipe were clear to him. Although young thieving heaven had already made a mistake, in Fang Yuan's view, it was not irrecoverable. Sandpit GU. Fang Yuan controlled young thieving heaven's body to throw Sandpit GU to a certain position in the fire. He did not activate this GU worm, instead throwing it in as a GU material. The delicate GU immediately attracted the fire and was soon burnt into a pile of powder. The fire's attraction force decreased sharply. Fang Yuan took this chance to jump out. He rolled on the ground for a few times to extinguish the remaining fire on him. His injuries were severe. Young thieving heaven's face, neck, arms and other areas were burnt to a miserable degree. But Fang Yuan ignored the injuries, and put all his attention on that fire. Young thieving heaven was still not out of danger, because the GU refinement process had yet to truly stop. If this fire continued to burn, it would definitely engulf young thieving heaven again. So Fang Yuan activated chimney smoke GU. Smoke came out and covered the basin-sized fire. Layers of smoke shrouded this fire. As the danger decreased gradually, Fang Yuan felt his connection with the fire was rapidly weakening. Like this, the smoke can extinguish the fire and stop this GU refinement. Although there will be some backlash, this body's life will be preserved. In this state, Fang Yuan had done all he could. After all, young thieving heaven was too reckless, actually trying to intentionally fail the GU refinement. This GU refinement had instead lowered his strength because he now lost the precious sandpit GU. However, a change occurred right at this moment. The smoke was suddenly absorbed into the fire. What's going on? Even Fang Yuan had not expected this. But shortly, when he saw that baby's phantom in the fire, he realized, there is an issue with this baby, their constitution is probably not ordinary, it is quite bizarre. The baby had been added to the fire as a GU material. Fang Yuan had been observing from the side and had not carefully inspected the baby, so he did not know if there was anything strange with it. This anomaly had surpassed Fang Yuan's expectation. The fire soared once again, the baby's phantom jumped about in the fire and pounced towards young thieving heaven. Damn, this is dangerous. Fang Yuan sighed. If young thieving heaven died, his dream realm exploration would also fail subsequently. Looking at the fire about to pounce at young thieving heaven's body, Fang Yuan suddenly had an inspiration. Got it. He first threw the chimney smoke GU. The chimney smoke GU immediately attracted the baby phantom in the fire. It made babbling noise as it charged at the chimney smoke GU and started eating it. Taking this chance, Fang Yuan quickly retreated a few steps, pulling apart some distance from the fire. But soon, the baby had finished eating chimney smoke GU and charged towards Fang Yuan again. Fang Yuan laughed. Come, there is also clear water GU. Clear water GU was thrown out, and was also devoured by the baby. The fire suddenly dimmed, the clear water GU turned into a lump of emerald green water that could not be evaporated by the fire. And the red fire turned into orange-yellow, shrouded in light. It was no longer fiery as before, and was deeply concealed instead. The emerald green water and orange-yellow fire circulated around each other in the air. Fang Yuan moved young thieving heaven's body to advance instead of retreating, and went in front of this strange water and fire. Sandpit turned into powder, consolidating the body. Chimney smoke shrouded and restrained the fire. Clear water toppled the world. Using blood to integrate yin and yang. Wonderful. Fang Yuan bit his tongue and spat out his blood into the strange water and fire. Eek. After the strange water and fire was touched by the blood, it suddenly turned into a blue baby phantom that screamed and pounced at Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan did not dodge, letting it attack. The blue baby phantom directly entered young thieving heaven's aperture, turning into a rank 2 GU worm. What is this? Young thieving heaven came back to his senses and was stumped. What the, again? Fang Yuan was speechless. The moment young thieving heaven was safe, he was thrown to the side and turned into an observer. You actually refined a completely new GU worm under a series of coincidences. Sha Xiao also shouted out in surprise. No, that's wrong. Shortly, he came to a realization. Brat, you seem to have a hidden nature which only takes control when you encounter fatal danger, and then makes you intuitively make the best choice. It was like this in the competition, it seems to be the same in GU refinement as well. You are naive and stubborn, as well as hopelessly stupid, but this hidden nature of yours is quite pragmatic and extremely cunning, having talents that you can't reach. I quite admire this nature, very impressive. Sha Shao started laughing. I refined a new GU. Young Thieving Heaven still had not completely reacted to this situation and was dazed. That's right, give it a try. This new GU is a rank 2 GU, it seems to be a new innovation, even I can't make out its effect. Activating an unknown GU worm was a dangerous thing. For instance, Spring Autumn Cicada was the best example. But Young Thieving Heaven had just started cultivating and was ignorant, and Sha Shao, who knew about the risks, did not have any concern for Young Thieving Heaven's safety. So Young Thieving Heaven dumbly activated this GU worm. The moment it was activated, this GU worm turned back into a blue baby phantom that gave a strange scream before exiting Young Thieving Heaven's aperture and charging ahead. There was a stone stool ahead, the blue baby phantom directly entered the stone stool, then exited and returned to Young Thieving Heaven's aperture, turning back into its GU appearance. The stone stool looked undamaged. Young Thieving Heaven walked to the stool and touched it. Bam! A crisp sound echoed as the stone stool turned into crushed stone pieces. Young Thieving Heaven was taken aback and took a step back, looking at the pile of pebbles on the ground in shock. Wonderful, Sha Shao praised. This GU worm has extremely high power, it is a top-tier rank 2 GU worm. More importantly, it seems to be able to pass through defenses. Take a look, the stone stool crumbled from the inside. Sha Shao was astute, seeing many of its profundities in an instant. Young Thieving Heaven was still somewhat muddled. Sha Shao looked at his aperture and praised again, amazing. Look at your aperture, only 10% primeval essence has been expended in activating this GU worm, this is unimaginable. This is a rank 2 GU worm with so much power, but it only needs 10% of rank 1 green copper primeval essence. But I only have D grade aptitude, my primeval essence is just a bit more than 20%. I can only use this GU worm twice. Young Thieving Heaven was worried. You know nothing. With this GU worm, the first position in the competition is yours. No one can defend against your GU worm. Sha Shao scoffed. I can be first with this GU. Young Thieving Heaven's eyes opened wide. Once this GU worm is activated, it will turn into a blue baby phantom that will attack the enemy. You have seen its speed, it is extremely fast. Rank 3 GU masters might be able to dodge it with difficulty, but against rank 1 and rank 2 GU masters, as long as you close some distance, they will be struck and have no time to dodge. Sha Shao continued to analyze, mumbling, looking at this GU worm's power and effect, we might as well call it Sneak Attack GU. The GU worm was created by Young Thieving Heaven, but Sha Shao took the liberty to name this GU worm Sneak Attack GU. Young Thieving Heaven immediately frowned and wanted to object. Yes, call it Sneak Attack GU, my naming sense is still good. Ha ha ha, Sha Shao said domineeringly. Young Thieving Heaven could only roll his eyes helplessly.